3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Friday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That's 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, at Zach Gelb. That is ZACHGELB. This is how we'll start the show today. Blah. That's how I feel. And I didn't think I would be this fired up, this jacked up when it came to this Four Nations final and this Four Nations kind of tournament and the entire thing that happened the last 10 days or so, because it was new, right? And whenever you introduce something new in the sports world, a lot of times it's gimmicky. And, right, we're rooted in our traditions, whether it's the Olympics or other world tournaments. So you go, okay, the NHL is creating this Four Nations face-off, and we'll see what happens when you look at the Four Nations that are competing. And for us here in America, I think instantly, once when Thursday night did occur, if you were on the fence, that's when everyone really got all in on this. And I know there was other games played with our nation and then other nations as well before that. But Thursday night, I think it was really like the bat signal, the Batman signal that was thrown up into the air. Because if you weren't planning on watching on Saturday night, I should say. If you weren't planning on watching on that Saturday night, the moment that you started to see the reaction on social media, 5 minutes right after the game started, when you had 3 fights in the first 9 seconds or whatever it was, and you find out those Canadians were booing during our national anthem, it made you want to tune in. And hockey delivered. And it was awesome seeing the USA defeat Canada, right? And the pretentious folks from Canada with their hockey. And I love you folks from Canada, but you can't be pretentious with your hockey. So when you had that on Saturday and the U.S. did defeat Canada at their own game, it was a moment of elation. It was a moment of exuberance. And let's be honest, we all danced on the grave of hockey in Canada that night. And then once you settled down, it was like, oh, you could still see them. And you could still see them again on Thursday night. As long as they won their next game. Our next game was irrelevant because we were already in the championship game, and you knew that you were going to be playing on Thursday night. And then Canada wins, and it's okay. You have the rematch, Canada, USA. And I said it yesterday on the show. I did not feel good about this game. I thought it was going to be competitive. I thought it was going to be close. But ultimately, I thought Canada was going to win. Because to beat Canada twice in such a short time is such a tall task to ask for. Now, they had every opportunity. They had every moment in overtime. Austin Matthews had not one, not two, but 3 chances in overtime to go give the U.S. this moment of joy. 2 victories spanning from Saturday all the way through Thursday. And yes, you would have had some then Canadian folks who would have poo-pooed it. Oh, what does this really mean? It's a Fugazi Four Nations face-off. We'll see you for the Olympics, right? And one of my friends who used to work for the NHL, I texted him, and I was texting with him throughout the game and then also after the game. And the moment the game ended, this was the text that he sent to me. I sent him a 4-letter word. You could imagine what that 4-letter word was. Once you saw Connor McDavid, yuck, score the game-winning goal. And you know what? If you can't figure out the 4-letter word, it rhymes with yuck, okay? And right away, my buddy texted me, Olympics in 350 days. The countdown is on. And this does set the stage. Now, would it have been better? Would it have been awesome for the U.S. to win last night twice? That you get the job done from Saturday through Thursday? Absolutely. It would have been awesome. But I think my biggest takeaway from this is I'm actually shocked, even being a hockey guy, right? You'll have a lot of people, and I welcome people, parachute in. I want the more eyeballs on the sport of hockey. There's some that are very protective about their hockey, and they're like, oh, well, you don't usually watch hockey. You don't like hockey, so don't jump. No. Hockey is a small fish in a large pond. And I'm okay with saying that. And I'm someone that pays God knows how much money each and every year to go watch my Rangers play. And I always love bringing hockey guests on the show when the time is right. But when you do conduct a national radio program and you know what the masses find interesting, unfortunately, we don't talk a lot of hockey here. Now, when we do it as good as any show can. right, in the national landscape with the big national media companies. We'll get on Pete DeBoer, the head coach of the Stars. We'll get on players from around the league. We'll bring on an owner like Vinny Viola from the Florida Panthers. Gary Bettman, the commissioner of the NHL, has been on this show. We had Jeremy Roenick on yesterday. So when there is an avenue to walk down and talk hockey, I like to take the opportunity because I love the game. But just because I love the game doesn't mean the majority of our audience does love the game. But what made this so unique and so special, something that is really an exhibition. Like you could sit there and say, oh, it means nothing because it's not rooted in your traditions of the Olympics and other big world events. But this was something that was created. This was something that, I'm going to be honest, I thought at first I would have zero interest in. But once you see your country with the NHL's best compete against others' countries, it's must-watch TV. Because here's what I know from hockey players. And I've dealt with athletes in football, basketball, baseball, and hockey. This is no disrespect to the other sports, but by far and away, the easiest athletes to deal with are hockey players. They're so respectful. They tell you good stories. And they also appreciate being on. If I had to rank them, I would say hockey players are the easiest to deal with, then actually football players. And then it's a toss-up between the NBA and Major League Baseball. Now, Major League Baseball players I give a little bit of a pass to because there's 162 games. And they make you talk to the media before the game and after the game. I think there's too much media availability in Major League Baseball, and they don't do a great job marketing their stars. But here's what you see from hockey players. Could you imagine the NBA creating an exhibition like this and having the NBA players go this hard? I couldn't see it. But that's like the different wire of the hockey players. They're throwing gloves, fisticuffs. They're beating the crap out of each other, and they got to go back to play hockey tomorrow. You have guys that are injured in this tournament. But when you're competing for the pride of your country and you have guys just kind of like a shotgun marriage with whatever country you're associated with, you come together rather quickly, you got 10 to 14 days and you're competing, this thing took off real quick. And this thing took off greater than I could have ever expected. Even as a hockey guy, I didn't think I was going to be interested in this Four Nations. But really, what triggered it to be explosive and awesome and generate people that aren't even hockey fans caring and watching last night and watching the last few days was that great moment on Saturday night when the U.S. beat Canada. And you know what? Maybe it is a little personal for me, I will admit. Because as someone, right, the one sport my dad and I really bond over, it's hockey. That's the one sport my dad and my Uncle Kenny, we are nuts about, where the three of us share, right, the same love for our New York Rangers. And really, like all hockey. 2 weeks ago, I'm home. I don't know what women's tournament was being played. My dad's watching women's hockey, and he's screaming at the television. So, like, that's just something where, like, we all go back to our younger days. Because, right, my dad showed me how to love hockey. My dad, as a kid, loved hockey. His older brother loved hockey as well. And it's something that we just all share a bond over. And we're always texting, and it's grown from just the Rangers to now United States is playing, we're texting. Or anytime there's like a big hockey moment, we're texting. So it's a cool, neat bond. It really is. And my dad, right, I remember watching 2002 when the U.S. went up against Canada in the gold medal game, and we lost. I remember in 2010 when Parisi scores the goal at the end of regulation, right at the end of regulation, and then that son of a bitch in Sidney Crosby nets the game winner in overtime. So, yes, you could say, oh, it's a gimmick. Yeah, it's just an exhibition, but it worked. It worked. Even if it only is momentum that lasts for a week, this is something, I'm not saying it should happen every year. I know the Olympics are next year, but every few years, right? It's every 4 years to the Olympics, like smack in the middle of it should be the Four Nations. So it's like you go Olympics, 2 years, Four Nations, and then 2 years after that, you go back to the Olympics or something like that. But you look at just in the span of this week, the NBA All-Star Game and the All-Star festivities were horrible. Absolutely dreadful, absolutely horrible. And when you have players that want to be out there and just compete and just come together as a team, it makes it really special. And also, I love Gary Bettman, right, when he comes on this show. I know he's not been the most popular person in the world, but the last few years, I think he's done a wonderful job with the sport. And it's an uphill climb for hockey. But the two Olympics prior, we didn't send NHLers to compete in the Winter Olympics. And that was unfortunate. So I think also this getting helped out and aided by the fact that we haven't really seen the NHLers on the national stage, this kind of made this so popular. And it was a tremendous moment last night for the sport of hockey. Now, I'm not going to be naive. I'm going to shoot it to you straight. Where do I think that this is going to increase the popularity of hockey in America? And now more people are going to be watching the NHL than ever before. And we're going to see all the people that parachuted in last night continuing to watch the sport? Probably not. I've seen this before. Whether it was TJ Oshie in the Olympics, you know, that great run also in 2010, the great run in 2002. You know, I'm not even going back to 1980, right? But we've seen moments before where hockey in the United States, whether you win or lose, has been front and center. And there's been a week where it could take over, 2 weeks, it could take over the sports world. And then I know what usually happens here. What usually happens is people that were all in, right? The P1 hockey fans, the P2 hockey fans, right? However you want to classify yourself. Those guys are always going to watch. Those guys and gals are always going to watch. But the people that just jumped on the bandwagon, which we welcome you and we hope you stay, you'll come back for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And probably not the first round, probably not the second round, probably for the conference finals. And then you'll come back the next time, right, 350 days from now, when the U.S. is on the big stage in the Olympics. And that's okay. Now, I love a world where hockey becomes more popular, especially here in America, because the athletes that we have in the sport of hockey in America as a whole are as good as they've ever been. And American hockey is in a great spot. But just saying the actual game is in a great spot, and then how many more eyeballs we'll see in the future is a different conversation. So I give credit to the NHL, and I give credit for all involved for coming up with this Four Nations. I thought it was excellent. Now, when you get to the game last night, few things from it. Canada gets the job done. I thought Jeremy Roenick hit the nail on the head yesterday. Where as cool as this would have been for us in America to be like, hey, Canadians, na-na-na-na-na-na, we're your daddy, like all that stuff, it would have been awesome. Like, this is our sport now. I am the captain now. That would have been awesome. But that game, since they did lose on Saturday, was more important to Canada on Thursday. Because the gap used to be the Canadians were all the way up here, and then the Americans were all the way down here when it did come to hockey. Now, America is rising and rising and rising and rising and rising. And there's been other moments where U.S. has beat Canada, but not in like a moment like this, right? Not in the Olympics. You know, I know you have like World Juniors, all that other stuff that, you know, even I get confused with. But the hockey in America has been rising. And on Saturday, you saw, we beat Canada. So for a moment, it was like, you're up, you're past them. But then Canada said, yeah, we're going to just rise just above you one more time. And until we beat Canada in a huge spot, and not just on a Saturday, but then you get it with the medal or whatever is on the line, that's what the U.S. needs to do. Because they have closed the gap significantly. If you want to move past them, though, you have to find a way to win a game like last night. And then either, you know, obviously they didn't. So now when you play them in the Olympics, you got to beat them when a medal is on the line. The other two takes here, Austin Matthews failed in overtime. You know, I know he plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Austin Matthews is an incredible player. And I got tweets last night, and you just see people that don't know what they're talking about. Why is Austin Matthews on Team USA? Well, like, because he's one of the best players in the NHL, you dopes. He was horrible, though, in overtime. He had 3 chances. 3. And I get it, Binnington, give him credit all the world for making those saves. Right? That's Jordan Binnington. When he's counted out, he finds a way to play his best. Just look at what he did with the Blues when they won that championship. But you know the Toronto Maple Leafs are a bunch of chokers. You know they don't get the job done in the big moment, and they have an all-star team pretty much, And Austin Matthews, ironically, going up against Canada, displayed his inner Toronto Maple Leafs on the big stage last night because he had not one, not two, but three chances. Three chances to put the biscuit in the basket. And Binnington was like, no, not happening. And if you watch hockey, you know it. When a team dominates in the extra session, and when it's sudden death and you're dominating, and that's what the USA was doing. They were dominating Canada in the extra session. After the first one missed, I said to my friend that I texted, I go, the U.S. better score in the next 5 minutes. Because if they don't, they're going to lose this game. And as you did get to see, you had another opportunity by Matthews, denied. Another opportunity by Matthews, denied. And then Connor McDavid, wide open, bang, that's it. Right? McJesus, as they do call him. And he's the preeminent player in the sport for you that are not all that up to date in terms of hockey and you're just parachuting in. But that was extra painful. And I know people could say, oh, it doesn't really matter. Like, what is this worth? You know, who cares? It just got created, this year. I'm sorry, folks. That McDavid moment was painful last night. There's moments in sports where when your team loses, you just sit up afterwards and you don't leave the couch. I was on my couch for 90 minutes after the game and it was like a blank stare. And I didn't feel as if I would have that much passion for this tournament and also for this championship game. And McDavid in 2025, it felt like Sidney Crosby, that son of a bitch, all over again in 2010. And I know Crosby's on the team, but that's him last night passing the torch to Connor McDavid. The great reign of Sidney Crosby, and now we have the great reign of Connor McDavid. And really, you look at Connor McDavid, he's got to go win a Stanley Cup. He almost came close last year to doing an improbable comeback before you did see the Florida Panthers prevail. So it did feel a lot like 2010. I know some people be like, Zach, that's too much. It was the Olympics. It was the gold medal game. We haven't had that feeling in a long time. We haven't. And that's what it felt like last night. So begrudgingly, congratulations to Canada. It was a great last week and a half, 2 weeks, whatever you want to say, for hockey. And I hope momentum can continue, especially here in the United States, because the players deserve it. The players are awesome. It would have been better if they would have won last night. But I know how this usually works, right? The top hockey fans, all of us, we're going to continue to watch. Stu's going to continue to go to his Devil games. I'll continue to go to my Rangers games. I got tickets coming up 2 Mondays from now to go see the Rangers play at Madison Square Garden. But for most of you that parachuted in, you're going to now parachute out, and you'll parachute back in later on in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and then next year when you do have the Olympics. But remember the effort, remember the passion, remember how fun it is, and I think if you give hockey more of a chance and more of an opportunity, you'll continue to see that even though the athletes in hockey and the culture in hockey doesn't get as much publicity as it should, and the players don't make nearly as much money as what you see from Major League Baseball players, NFL players, and NBA players, but no players are more joyful to deal with, and no players try harder than hockey players. And they come together, and it's not about individuals. It's truly about being a team. And you saw that with Team USA and also Team Canada. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break talking about individuals. Can Aaron Rodgers get shut out of this upcoming offseason? Is Ty done right when he made a prediction yesterday with us from GoLongTD.com that he believes Aaron Rodgers is about to get the Bill Belichick treatment? We'll get to that on the other side.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You know, I never thought about it until yesterday. And I also never thought about it with Bill Belichick until it happened. Where we talk about, where is Bill Belichick going to land? Right after the Patriots move off of him. He got shut out. Falcons were also cowards about it and didn't make the right hire, but that's a possibility. All right? You only need one team to say yes, but you don't always get one team to say yes. So for most of this year, we've talked about with Aaron Rodgers, are the Jets going to bring him back? And if not, is he A, going to retire? Or B, is he going to go somewhere else? And I don't think anyone has brought up the possibility about Aaron Rodgers getting the Bill Belichick treatment until I heard it from Ty Dunn yesterday, right here on a very fine national radio program called the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And this is the first time I've heard it. This is Ty Dunn bringing up the possibility of him actually thinking that Aaron Rodgers is going to get the hoodie treatment. Listen up.
I think this is Bill Belichick in quarterback form. I think that he probably wants to play, wants to start, wants to make money, and I'll be surprised if a team gives him that opportunity. I don't know how a GM, a head coach, hell, an owner can see what happened in Green Bay, can see what happened with the New York Jets, and allow Aaron Rodgers to nuke your building in the same form and fashion. Is he really going to want to start for a team at quarterback and just play quarterback? I would be shocked if that's the case for somebody that we've seen the same storyline play out again and again and again. It's bringing the buddies, whether they're coaches, whether they're players. It's pseudo GM, assistant to the assistant GM, Dwight Schrute-esque. I mean, it's so obvious at this point. It was on full public display. Even though there are a lot of options out there at quarterback via trade, free agency, the draft, I don't know why any team would do it. Maybe there's a desperate owner out there, but Woody Johnson, not one of the best owners, to put it mildly. So he was duped. The Jets were duped. I don't know who will get duped again.
So the only thing I'll say, and I love Ty, the whole nuclear building and then an owner getting duped, I think it could be a little bit of a strong stance. If you look at the specifics, so Aaron Rodgers, who I've reported on this before, right? This was my story. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is a choir boy. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is getting, should get no blame and be exonerated of all blame. Because I remember when Aaron Rodgers was in Green Bay, Matt LaFleur wanted to give him more input in the roster in terms of, the game plan, I should say. He wanted to give him more input in the game plan. And LaFleur was scheduled meetings with Rodgers, let's just say on like Mondays or Tuesdays, whatever it was. Come on in, we're going to implement the game plan, and we're going to give you a lot of input and say. And Aaron Rodgers would show up to some of them. And then other weeks, he would just keep Matt LaFleur sitting there twiddling his thumbs. And Matt LaFleur eventually realized, okay, Aaron's playing us and he's not coming. So I'm not saying that's a healthy culture. But when you use the word like nuclear building, right, and you dupe, right, the New York Jets, well, if you look back at Green Bay, I'm not saying it was all roses and it was all lovey and lovey-dovey, but ever since they drafted Jordan Love, yeah, they still got to a conference championship game. They were 13-3. They still got to a divisional round. They were 13-4. And then the carpet kind of got pulled from underneath them. The house came collapsing down. And that was the year of reckoning in 2022 when Aaron wasn't healthy. And still, the low point was them losing the last game of the season, not making the playoffs where they lose to the Detroit Lions, and they finished that year 8-9. And you look at it since, have the Packers recovered? Yes. Have the Packers been back to a conference championship game? No. And really, in 2023, I think it was a little too much, what's the word, glazing the Green Bay Packers, as the kids would say. Because you look back at the Packers, for the first half of that season in 2023, there were questions about Jordan Love and there were questions about Matt LaFleur. And then down the stretch, the team got hot. They finished with a 9-8 record. And then in the postseason, that's when it really started to show that they could survive without Aaron Rodgers. Because not only did they make the playoffs, but then they walked into Dallas and they opened up a can of whoop ass on the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. And then the next week, unfortunately, they lost to the San Francisco 49ers. And this past year, they were expected to take that next step, right? Return to being in contention like you were with Aaron Rodgers. And you could look at the record and you could say, oh, they went 11-6. They won double-digit games. Oh, they improved from 9 wins a year before to 11 games. But they lost to the opening round of the playoffs, albeit to the eventual Super Bowl champions in the Philadelphia Eagles. And now I do think the Packers need to add a legitimate number one wide receiver. I do. But you look at what Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay. He is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He won a Super Bowl championship. Yes, he never got back to another one, which is crazy. He was never won another championship, which is still nuts. not even just get into another Super Bowl. It's kind of bizarre with how many times he was there. And was it ugly? Were there icy stares at the end? Was Rodgers at times being petulant? Absolutely. But remember, Green Bay drafted Jordan Love. They knew there was going to be some friction. It wasn't as bad as when, right, Rodgers got drafted and Favre was there. But they knew there was going to be some icy moments, and they still allowed that to go on for 3 years. So I think considering the situation and the circumstance, if the nuking the building was in regards to what happened in Green Bay, that I don't agree with. Now, when you get to the Jets, I think we need to also be fair here. Does Aaron sometimes play the role of the victim? Absolutely. Like Aaron Rodgers saying, we need to eliminate the distractions. We need to eliminate the leaks. And, he has every right to go on Pat McAfee, right? No problem with it, but that is a distraction, right? Aaron Rodgers says things that are distracting. And I have no problem with Aaron Rodgers basically demanding the Jets to go get Devontae Adams, but let's call a spade a spade. When you were with the Jets, you were basically the GM, the owner, the president of football operations, and the head coach. And I know at the end, right, Woody Johnson is a meddling owner. And at first I thought Aaron Rodgers got Robert Saleh out, but that was Woody working independently. But let's not act as if Aaron Rodgers had zero input, and Aaron Rodgers should act like he didn't have zero input with the Jets. But this idea that like the Jets got duped by Aaron Rodgers, I just don't agree with. Because if he didn't get hurt in year one, I don't know what happens. I really don't. Now, are there certain things that Aaron Rodgers does when he's in charge that you may not like? Absolutely. But you knew what you were getting into. So I think what teams now need to determine is the juice worth the squeeze with Aaron Rodgers. Because I don't think it's as bad as what people make it out to be. But Aaron Rodgers that we're accustomed to is far away from the Aaron Rodgers. Like when you have the Aaron Rodgers sycophants that go into my DMs and they're like, ooh, look how Aaron Rodgers played in the final 10 games of the season. Yeah, he was good. But he has a standard usually of greatness. And he didn't reach that greatness. We haven't seen that great version of Aaron Rodgers, and let's call a spade, the last 3 years. And he's getting up there in age. Not everyone could beat Tom Brady when you age like fine wine and you just keep on getting better and better and better and you keep on winning and winning and winning. It doesn't happen. But Bill Belichick got shut out, and I think a lot of that was because of personality and, right, people being afraid to bring in Bill because of what happens when you bring in Bill Belichick into an organization and it's his way or the highway. And for Aaron Rodgers, it is similar in that regard, whether he wants to admit it or not. So I'll give Ty credit, even though I will disagree a little bit with the nuking of the building stuff that he said, and then also the Jets getting duped. I don't think it's now a crazy thought, and I give credit to Ty because I never thought about it this way, where teams are going to look at Aaron and be like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I'd rather not hitch my wagon to him and lose control of my organization for a year or two. So you look at the potential destinations, it's no one in the AFC East. AFC West, maybe the Raiders. Pete Carroll, is that what you want to do? You got probably 3 years, in the NFL left. Do you want to go with an Aaron Rodgers? That's a question. You look at the AFC North, Kevin Stefanski, your last life raft, right? I don't think he should be fired, but you know how this works, even for a two-time coach of the year. You start, miss the playoffs this year, 3-14. I know they made the playoffs last year. You don't have a quarterback. Would you rather go with a Kirk Cousins, right? Who's good. And there's going to be less drama with Kirk, but Kirk's coming off a massive injury. Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is the best destination. But as Herm Edwards questioned with us, can Aaron Rodgers coexist with the Rooney family and Mike Tomlin? You look at the AFC South, Tennessee seems pointless. But if Aaron only wants to play for another year, do you pass on a quarterback this year, have the quarterback sit, and you have Aaron Rodgers play for a year? But, what are you really going to accomplish? You look at the Indianapolis Colts. That one would actually be fun. But I don't think they're moving off of Anthony Richardson just yet, even though I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to be a franchise quarterback. To me, he's a social media quarterback. The Giants, is that Joe Shane what you want to do? 1 year, I think the Giants are getting a quarterback third overall. So you go through this, there's not that many destinations. Could it be the Saints? If they get rid of Derek Carr, do they bring in Aaron Rodgers? So there's not a lot of destinations. And the first two teams to look at and really monitor are the Steelers and the Raiders. And if both of them say no, that's when you could potentially see Rodgers getting shut out. Because I don't think the Niners are opening up. I think Brock Purdy's going to be there. I don't think the Seahawks are moving off of Geno Smith to bring in Aaron Rodgers. The Rams, right? We talked about that possibility, but you need the Stafford domino to fall first, and you need Stafford to get out. And let's see if that actually happens. Because the Rams would be a good destination for Aaron. I don't know if McVay would be interested in it. So you go through it. If, let's say, the Rams keep Stafford, the Raiders go, yeah, maybe we'll sign Sam Darnold, right? That's a possibility. And then the Steelers go, you know what? We're going to keep either Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. If that happens, Aaron, are you going to be begging the Browns? Are you going to be begging Tennessee to go play football? So even though I never thought about it, that, hey, Aaron Rodgers gets shut out like Bill Belichick did, I do think it's on the table. I still anticipate Rodgers landing somewhere because, right, a head coach is different than a quarterback. Teams always take the risk on the quarterback, right? Even an aging quarterback, especially with someone that has the capabilities of playing at the level that Aaron Rodgers does. And there's ways to justify that's what's happened the last 3 years. Injuries, right? Rust, things like that. But ultimately, Ty Dunn's idea and what he said with this yesterday, I'm not going to say that it has no chance of happening. Because there is a chance that Rodgers gets shut out. And can you imagine, right? You look at the quarterbacks. Brady, right, walked away. Drew Brees, injured, walked away. Big Ben, right, body wasn't the same, walked away. Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl, injured, walked away. If Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Big Ben, Drew Brees, if they wanted to keep on playing and they wanted to go somewhere else, someone would have said, yeah, we're interested. But that would be a terrible look for Rodgers, who still probably wants to play, it feels like, if he then says, my services are available, and everybody passes. That would be a really ugly and sad and humiliating ending for one Aaron Rodgers. Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. Is Micah Parsons podcasting becoming a problem? Because a lot of former players think so. I will defend Micah Parsons when we come on back. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, Brandon Staley has found a new home. The former Chargers coach joining Kellen Moore's staff in New Orleans as defensive coordinator. The NFL is reportedly looking into the complaints against Ravens kicker Justin Tucker and speaking with 3 women who accused Tucker of sexual misconduct. They are set to meet with 2 others. The Big Ten tournament is 2 weeks away. As of now, Michigan is the top seed, but there's still a long way to go before they get to Indy. The Wolverines host Michigan State tonight, holding just a half-game lead over the Spartans in the Big Ten. Tonight, the first of 2 meetings this year in the final 5 games. And with a lot on the line, quite a time for Dusty May's first taste of this rivalry.
The amount of intensity and passion for the game. And it was typically 2 really good basketball teams going tooth and nail, competing. And usually both of them were in championship contention. So it seemed like it was always a big nationally televised game.
The Wolverines have won 6 in a row. The Spartans come in off back-to-back wins. The NBA's 2 best teams are in action tonight. The Cavaliers, coming off their league-leading 45th win and 6th in a row, host the Knicks, while the Thunder are playing their first game in the second half and are in Utah. I'm Rich Acker.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Hey, Mike, do you have the Joe Montana interview, just wondering? Can you just Slack me, the video, the full video of the interview?
4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Go, Rob.
4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
And it's time to Ask the Pros, where the listener gets to ask us a question, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. All right, either Lawrence Taylor or Reggie White. That's the answer. Who's the greatest defensive player that the game has ever seen? If you ask 10 people, you will get only 2 answers. Lawrence Taylor or Reggie White. Here is the great Lawrence Taylor on Micah Parsons. Listen up.
I don't think that anyone should be compared to you until they've been away from the game at least 20 years and still talk about it.
That sounds good too, but you know, and I guess you're talking about Michael Parsons. He's a great player, but guys, let's play more football and less podcasts. Okay?
Yeah.
You know.
So that's Lawrence Taylor on Outkick. I hear a comment like that, and it's funny to me because I know Lawrence Taylor doesn't play football anymore, but he's telling someone pretty much on a show, on a podcast, more football, less podcasting. So I just find that ironic. But the older guard is not too fond of Micah Parsons. Even Warren Sapp, and I know, right, he's not like old guard, but he was, for whatever reason, trashing Micah Parsons on this radio show. Where you may not like him, but when Warren Sapp takes it to the level, like at least LT goes, hey, he's a good football player, but, more football, less podcasting. Warren Sapp, who never shuts up regardless, I don't know what the reason is why he can't stand Micah Parsons. So I think you need to realize in the year of 2025, this is not how it traditionally did go when the only media coverage was people like me on a radio show, people hosting TV shows, the typical beat reporter that walks into the locker room and is there, as a scribe each and every day. Players have platforms now. And can player platforms be good? Yes. Can some player platforms, can they be bad? Sure. Like players that think, just because they have a platform, there's no use for the media anymore. That's ridiculous. Because the player platforms are always going to have a certain agenda. It's just a matter of the truth. And I look at, right, even what we do, we have an agenda as time as well. I'm not going to pretend as if we don't have agendas. But there's more checks and balances and more truth in a traditional radio show, a traditional TV show than player podcasts. And there's a lot of great player podcasts, but it's just different forms of media. But also, right, just like how I'm not going into the NFL and I'm going to be able to go get 10 sacks in a season, there's also a lot of players that think they're good at this and they're not, right? And then there's some that are very good. I think Micah Parsons is a tremendous football player, and he's also a tremendous podcaster. He could do both. Micah Parsons is entertaining. Micah Parsons gets a reaction out of you. Now, will there be some people that go, it's a distraction and it takes away from his team? Sure. But look at the organization that he's in. He's in an organization in Dallas where the owner, Jerry Jones, does weekly radio shows and also runs his organization not off wins and losses, but off of how much drama they could stir up. So if Jerry Jones is allowed to pop on and be the only owner that I know of in the NFL and probably in any sport that pops on a radio show in Dallas every week, Micah Parsons can't do a podcast? And don't tell me that Micah Parsons podcasting takes away from his football career. And I may have thought it from time to time, but when you adapt and you actually use your cabeza, Micah Parsons had 52.5 sacks in the last 4 years. 4 years in the NFL. He's played in 63 games. He has 52.5 sacks. And Mina Kimes put this up yesterday. Over the last 2 seasons, Micah Parsons ranks first in pressure rate, first in pass rush win rate, and first in double team rate. So is the podcasting really derailing the career of Micah Parsons? He's not reaching his full potential because of the podcasting? Of course not. But Micah Parsons on social media yesterday on Twitter, he said, LOL, I guess this was the reaction from the LT interview. He said, LOL, I wonder, do people hate my podcast because it's actually good, or do people hate it because it's bad? Because hella people in the NBA and NFL have podcasts and no one has a problem. I'll tell Micah Parsons what the answer is. People hate your podcast because you're polarizing, right? Which means that your podcast is good, right? And I say this all the time. You know, when people ask me, like, what I do for work and, like, how do you manage when people attack you and things like that, I go, I want 50% of the listening audience to love me, and I want 50% of the listening audience to hate me. And quite frankly, the people that hate you, in a weird way, they love you because they're listening. Like, if you tune into this show, and I'll get those messages and things like that and whatever. Oh, I hate you. You're the worst. You should be fired. The show's not going to last more than a year. You're an idiot. Hot take, jackass. But you still know everything I say. So I thank those people. Hi, how you doing? I'm Zach Gelb. And I welcome you because I love people that hate listen or hate watch. Because whether you want to admit it or not, and you could hate my guts and you could call me every curse word and every bad word in the book, if you're tuning in every day or if you're tuning in weekly, even if you say you hate us, you have to like us in some regards. And that's sometimes what the athlete struggles to understand. When you look at a Micah Parsons, he's getting all this blowback. Well, Micah, if you stop doing the podcast, do you know how many messages you would get from people that tweet you, oh, I hate your guts? Oh, I missed the podcast. I say this all the time. There have been radio shows that have been canceled. And while they're on the air, people are like, worst show ever, hate it, terrible, awful. And then they get canceled and people go, what's management doing? They're a bunch of dopes. So it's part of the territory. And you also have to understand what social media is. There is a large portion of people on social media that are trolls, that are anonymous, and they're just trying to get a rise out of you. So Micah Parsons, I would say keep on doing your podcast, but also you got to know that it's a low-hanging fruit. If you don't have a good game or if your team loses, whether it's your fault or not, what are people going to say? Because it's different and it's new. They're going to say, oh, Micah Parsons, you should be more focused on football. You shouldn't be doing the podcasting, as if he didn't do the podcast, it would be football 24/7. This guy's dedicated to his craft. This guy puts in the work. It's not always going to work in terms of winning on the football field, but 4 years in the league, 52.5 sacks. That's pretty good, if you ask me. And I just think you need to realize that there's going to be people that always associate you with ridiculous things. And us fans don't understand that you have a life outside of football. And if you want a podcast, you have the time to be able to podcast. Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. PFF Top 101 Reaction. Next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
We're a very relatable radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show. Before I get to the reaction to the Pro Football Focus Top 100 list, or Top 101 list, excuse me, can't forget about that last player. We're going to talk a little parallel parking, and we're also going to talk about coffee. Now, I saw this video yesterday. TMZ had it out. And the headline was something along the lines of a video. TMZ Sports Obtain shows Shohei Ohtani isn't the world's greatest parallel parker. So when you see that, you expect it to be horrendous. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say it's good, but I've seen a lot worse. So he's in a parking lot. I guess he's going to like a restaurant or, maybe some appearance. And there's a spot dedicated for him. Really no cars behind him that are parked. And he just starts to turn, and he's too far from the curb. and there's another car that comes by. I don't think they were close to getting into an accident, but it was like a little bit dicey. And then he just turns way too wide to start. He's backing up, and then all he had to do once he was too far from the curb and he had so much space was just cut all the way in, get closer to the curb, which he does, and then you just got to back it up. But when you're backing it up, I think he needed to turn the wheel to the right, and it would have been better, except he turned it all the way to the right and then tried to get himself adjacent to the curb before he just realized, okay, all I have to do is just do a little hard shoot to the left, straighten this out, and then you back it up. It's like Happy Gilmore. Just tap it in, Happy. All you had to do there, Shohei Ohtani, was just back it up. That's all you had to do. And that's the thing. If there was another car behind him and then a car in front of him and he's sandwiched in between, that's a tough parallel parking job. But in this case, there's no car behind him. So you could just back it up the whole way, then cut in, and you're there. So I thought for what the headline was, this was going to be the worst parallel parking job in the world. I'm not saying it's good, but it's not the worst one I've ever seen. Stu, are you a good parallel parker?
I think decent. I spent a lot of years working here, driving in and parallel parking like 5 days a week. So I had a lot of reps. Now, at first, I was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I feel like I got the hang of it.
If you have a car that it basically does it for you now, if you have one of those
backup cams?
Yeah, backup cams. Thank you. It's pretty tough to mess up. Now, the one confusing part about the backup cam is sometimes they beep, right? If you're getting too close to the curb or if there's a car behind you, you get like beep, 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 beep. And sometimes it beeps way too prematurely. And just mentally, if you're backing up using the cam and you hear the beep, it's like, oh, I got to stop a little bit. But I don't have a car right now because I live in the city. I don't need one. And whenever I need a car, I just rent one. But I usually do not have the backup cam. But when I've been in cars with the backup cam, it makes it a lot easier. So I would say that I'm a good parallel parker. Stu, you saying you're okay?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Samter, how are you at in parallel parking?
I'm pretty good. I had a stick shift when I was younger.
You had a stick shift?
Yeah, wow. So you have to get really comfortable with the car.
Samter.
Yeah. So you have to get really comfortable, especially on a hill. So I got pretty good.
What are you bad at, Samter?
I'm bad at a lot of things. Here's the thing. So I always call myself jack of all trades, master of none. I'm good at basically everything. I'm not great at anything. I'm not terrible at anything. I'm not great at anything. I'm just good at most things.
I feel like whenever I ask you are you good at it? It's always I'm the best.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not the best, but I'm a pretty good parallel parker. And like Stu, I've lived in the city for a long time. I used to park on the street, do alternate side parking.
Sure.
You have to get good.
Yeah. Did you pass your driver's test in the first time?
Come on. Of course. Who didn't?
Would you admit it if you didn't?
Yeah, absolutely.
Stu, did you pass your driver's test in the first time?
I think I've brought this up before. I did, but I probably shouldn't have because I did mess up the parallel parking on the driver's test.
My first driver's test, I had to take it twice. The first time, did the parallel parking, immaculate, right? They took me on the highway. I remember you had to merge lanes, immaculate, no problem. The 3-point turn or the K turn, whatever it is, 10 out of 10. I'm driving back. And it's in a lot, where the DMV is, and there's a bus parked. So I get up to a stop sign, make the full stop. Not what you do now, where it's a half stop, and then you continue to go. I do the full stop, right? 10 and 2, hands on the wheel. This is the most proper Zach Gelb driving ever. And the bus driver, I make eye contact with the bus driver. I stop, I look left, look right. You have to be overcautious here because you're trying to get the driver's license. You look left and right again. And I see the bus driver is waving me to go. And I go. And the old hag that was doing the scoring goes, that's an automatic fail. Goes, you can't go. You have to let the bus go. I'm like, but the bus driver. I start arguing. Me arguing, right? The bus driver was giving me the wave. You didn't see it? Doesn't matter. And I failed. Flunked me. Now, the second time I went back.
That's reasonable, though. That's not your fault.
Honestly, I would tell you if I messed something up. The second time I went back, and I was nervous, right? Because the first time I thought I should have passed. The second time I'm like, I want to get my license. You have to wait like a few more months, which is obnoxious, right? All your other friends are getting the license and everything. And the second time I'm nervous because I'm like, I don't want to fail again. I'm going to have to wait a few more months. And then, you go through the whole school year basically without a license. Because that was like a big thing, right? When you got into high school and you eventually got your license, you could drive to school, do all that stuff and awesome. And I should have failed the second time. The second time I did not parallel park good. They let me do it again, and then I ended up finding a way to back it up correctly. But driving back, I thought I failed. And then the lady goes, you passed. And I go, wait. The first time I should have passed. The second time I shouldn't have. But I passed the second time. So, I'm a good driver. Usually, like, if there's a road trip, my friends, they're like, we want Zach driving. But when it comes to parallel parking, early on, I was a little hit or miss. But now, like, after living in the city, and having a car at times when I lived in the city, you got to learn how to parallel park, especially in Philly, too. When I lived in Philly, I had a car all through Philly. That's like survival of the fittest. Because any road I've been on, there's no road worse than the Philadelphia roads. I got 2 potholes. Never got a pothole in my life. I got 2 potholes, once on a Monday, the next time on a Sunday after getting it fixed in between. The roads in Philly are absolutely terrible. But anyway, now I'll get to the quick coffee story. I get the same coffee, Stu, every day. You a cold brew guy or you a hot coffee? Are you even a coffee guy?
So I recently have kind of dropped caffeine.
Completely?
Yes.
Cold turkey?
Yes.
How you doing?
Great. I feel fine.
How long ago?
Like a month ago.
Was there a reason for it? You just were tired of caffeine?
I feel like I was just overdoing it.
Okay.
Like 2 or 3 cups sometimes. So
I will say, you do look a little extra sleepy these days.
I feel fine, though. It was the first couple of days. It was like a bad headache and fatigue, but
I used to not drink coffee at all. And people are like, how are you so energetic? And I go, natural energy. Of course. You know I am. I'm Zach Mother Bleeping Gelb. Then when I started to do the weekend overnights here, that's when I started drinking coffee. And once I started drinking coffee, I got addicted to it. At first, I did hot coffee. And then I realized I just love cold brew. Like, I'm cold brew 365.
Me too. When I did drink it, I'm cold coffee like 99.5%.
Samter, are you a coffee? You're definitely a coffee guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so cliche. I'm one of those people who you can't talk to me in the morning until I have my coffee. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but I'm not a cold brew guy, but I'm an iced coffee guy.
You are? Do you put any milk or sugar in it?
Well, I've gotten into lattes a lot. So we got like one of those espresso
Latte
machines.
Larry.
Yeah, so I have like an espresso machine. I make a double espresso, pour some oat milk in there, a little bit of brown sugar creamer, and that's my jam.
Did you put anything in your coffee still?
Yeah, a little sugar and a little milk or cream or whole milk or almond milk. That's what I was thinking of, yeah.
So a great inspiration of mine, Mike the Situation, told me he doesn't do milk or sugar in his coffee, and he only ends up... Oh, now my Siri's going off there. Because I guess I said Mike the Situation, so my Siri goes off. I don't know why that's weird. That's been happening more and more. So anyway, I don't put anything in my coffee. I'm cold brew, 365 days out of the year. Doesn't matter what the temperature is. Just straight black coffee. So today, I ordered from Starbucks my perfect protein bar, and I wanted an everything bagel today. So I got that from Starbucks with the black cold brew. So I walk in, and I usually do mobile order. Why are you shaking your head, Samter?
I mean, you live in the city with the greatest bagels in the world. You're getting a bagel from Starbucks? I expect more from you.
It was moving and grooving, and it's a small bagel. I didn't need a big doughy
bagel.
bagel.
It's like ordering Domino's pizza when you're in the city. Come on.
I just, you know what? You don't need to go to the Four Seasons every time you go to a hotel. I just wanted a little snack. That was it.
A Subway cheesesteak in Philly. Come on.
That was it. That's all I was doing. You know what? The Subway cheesesteak, not that bad, actually.
Yeah, not when you're in Philly.
Oh, you know what? Jersey Mike's, I've had it in the train station in Philadelphia. Got a cheesesteak there when I was on the go. Yeah, that's usually something I would trash. It was delicious. It was sensational.
You guys do a hard time about Pat and Geno's, and you're going Subway?
That's different. You know, if I'm going out of my way to get the cheesesteak, that's Pat's and Geno's going out of the way. Yeah, you should be going to Mama's. You should be going to Angela's. You should be going to D'Alessandro's. You should be going to John's Roast Pork. You should be going to Chubby's, right? That's where you should be going. So anyway, I get out of the gym, I do my mobile order, and they were like late with the order, and it wasn't the normal people there today. You know, I know the people in there, the barista's unbelievable. And I see like in a large cold brew cup. They put like a quarter amount of coffee. And then I saw the gal behind the counter walk up to like the water that they have there and pour a ton of water and then throw ice in it. And I go, what was that? Like I tried to play dumb. I go, what was that you just put? And she goes, oh, we dilute our cold brew. And she goes, this was like straight from there and it's not from the normal thing. So we had to put some water in it so it tastes the same. I took one sip. It was water. So I go like, can you remake it and not put the water in it? And she goes, oh, maybe it was diluted and I just didn't know. So it's a new person. And I know what the coffee tastes like because I have it all the time. But even someone was giving me like the side eye because they saw the same thing and they're like, you should check out that coffee because I don't think it's going to be that good. And then they made me a new cup and it was the regular one. But that's how I become a coffee snob now. I could tell when they're trying to dilute the coffee. But I was not happy with that today. I was nice. I wasn't yelling. I just said, hey, I'd prefer if you remake it. And they remade it and it was good. But yeah, I thought I was just basically drinking water with like a shot of coffee.
There's nothing worse. And had you not seen it, you probably would have walked out of the Starbucks.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
And not noticed it until you were 2 blocks down the street.
Usually, so like my apartment's here and then the Starbucks is here. So it's literally a half block across the street. Not even. So usually I grab the coffee and I go back to my apartment and then sit down and sip it and eat my protein bar. That's what I usually do. But since I just saw there was like a little mishap, I'm like, oh, I'll take a sip today. And I took a sip. I go, what is this, high-quality H2O? So those are my parallel parking in my coffee stores.
Water sucks. It really, really sucks.
All righty. Do we want to do like NFL music here for this list? So, Stu, whenever you get the music, fire it up and fire away as Pro Football Focus has their top 101 list for this past season. Now, I always say this about Pro Football Focus. I like analytics. I don't live and die by analytics. Sometimes I watch something and I then see the rankings of it, and Pro Football Focus tries to tell me someone was terrible with their ranking when they were good. And then there's other moments where I've watched someone where someone's been bad, and then Pro Football Focus tells me, oh, well, they rated great. So I did not look at this. I said, Samter, I saw this article, go through it, pull out a few like things that stood out to you, and then ask me a few questions about it, and that's what we'll do right now.
So the first one that stood out to me was Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry.
Hold on. Saquon
Barkley and Derrick Henry. Who do you think had the better year this year?
Saquon Barkley.
Okay. Derrick Henry was ranked 5th. Saquon was ranked 10th. So for next year, who would you rather have, Saquon or Derrick Henry?
For next year?
For next year. Not for the rest of their careers. For next year.
I know this is going to sound hypocritical because I just told you Saquon Barkley had the better year, but I'd rather have Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry is more consistent, where when you look at Saquon Barkley, he was able to be healthy this year, and other years he gets hurt. And I think that, right, he's the most explosive back in football, but you add the size with Derrick Henry and how he just bulldozes through people. He had a magnificent year. I'm not taking anything away from what Derrick Henry did or Saquon Barkley, but in terms of the consistency, I do think that it's more likely that Derrick Henry replicates what he did last year compared to Saquon Barkley.
Now, number 1 on the list was Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen.
Wait, number 1 on the entire list was Lamar?
On the entire list was Lamar Jackson.
Okay. Yeah, an unbelievable statistical season.
Right. Josh Allen won the MVP. He was 6th. Joe Burrow was 4th ahead of Josh Allen. So would you take Joe Burrow, not just this year, would you take Joe Burrow over Josh Allen on your current list of NFL quarterbacks?
So I understand why Joe Burrow, and whatever their algorithm is ranked higher than Josh Allen because Joe Burrow led the league in passing yards and also passing touchdowns. I, though, thought that Josh Allen was more valuable to his team than Joe Burrow. Now, Joe Burrow didn't have a defense. He also had the player in the league that had the most sacks in the league in Trey Hendrickson, and he had the number 1 wide receiver in football. I love Joe Burrow. I love Josh Allen. But for next year, I'd rather have Josh Allen because just like Derrick Henry, I think there's more consistency. Josh Allen doesn't miss many games. And as much as I love Joe Burrow and I think Joe Burrow is a winner, Joe Burrow's teams get off to slow starts, and he's now had 2 season-ending injuries too. So there's an injury concern. I think the upside of Burrow may be greater, but I know what I'm getting from Josh Allen, and I do think Josh Allen right now, in my opinion, is the second best quarterback in football.
Now, Pat Surtain won the Defensive Player of the Year, but he was the 5th defensive player on this list, 12th
Really?
overall, behind Myles Garrett, T.J. Watt, Chris Jones, and Zach Bond. So do you think that's too low for Surtain?
You know what? I have no problem with him winning Defensive Player of the Year. But if you ask me, heading into next season, would I rather have Myles Garrett or Pat Surtain? I think Surtain's the best defensive back in football, but Myles Garrett's position is more important. The other, Micah Parsons, right? Who was it?
T.J. Watt, Chris Jones, and Zach Bond.
I would rather have T.J. Watt over Pat Surtain. Chris Jones is so clutch. But I think Pat Surtain is the better football player. And then Zach Bond, an incredible season this year. Defensive Player of the Year finalist. One of the best stories in football this year, breakout star. Do I think he can replicate it? Yes, but if he leaves Philadelphia, let's see what happens. So I would take Surtain over Zach Bond. So it's the two big boy pass rushers there in Myles Garrett and TJ Watt.
Another odd one on the running back position, two explosive young backs. Bijan Robinson was 15th. Jahmyr Gibbs was 36th. Do you think Bijan is that much better than Jahmyr Gibbs or even better at all?
Bijan Robinson's really damn good. And Bijan Robinson is not on as good of a team as Jahmyr Gibbs is. But I don't think the gap should be that far away. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs has to be a top 5 running back in the NFL. And he's a dual threat running back as well. So, no, I don't think the gap should be that big.
Now, here are the 5 top-ranked rookies. Jaden Daniels was 20th. Jared Verse, 27th. Brock Bowers, 40th. Cooper DeJean, 45th. And Malik Neighbors, 59th. Those are the top 5 rookies on the list.
Wait, give those to me one more time.
Daniels, 20th. Verse, 27. Bowers, 40. DeJean, 45. Neighbors, 59.
Okay.
How would you rank these 5 rookies? Daniels, Verse, Bowers, Cooper DeJean, and Malik Neighbors.
No Quinyon Mitchell on that list, which is interesting.
I think Mitchell was lower on. I kind of stopped looking after Neighbors. I just wanted the top 5.
So you give me Bowers, you give me Verse, and DeJean, Jaden Daniels,
yep,
and Neighbors. Okay. Jaden 1, quarterback. 2, I would actually go Brock Bowers. 3, the guy that I picked to win Defensive Rookie of the Year in Jared Verse. I would take, you know what? I got to go Malik Neighbors 3rd because it's an offensive league. And also, he had no quarterback this year. Both Bowers and Neighbors had no quarterback. And look at the stats. So I go Jaden Daniels 1, Brock Bowers 2, Malik Neighbors 3, Jared Verse 4, and then a guy that was just on the show this past week, Cooper DeJean, in at 5th.
Now, obviously, Pat Surtain has become the best corner in the NFL, but for a little bit, we thought Sauce Gardner might be the guy. He was 90.
You did. I did.
Well, a lot of people were talking about Sauce as being the guy.
I was always more Surtain over Sauce Gardner, but Sauce is in the top corner conversation.
Sure, he was in the conversation. Well, on this list, he's 99th. Derek Stingley Jr., who was drafted after him, or right before him in the draft, was 43rd. So it seems like Stingley has surpassed Sauce. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think Derek Stingley had the better season. Sauce Gardner did a terrible job tackling this past year. I still think it was Surtain who was on with us. Pat Surtain, who said the 3 best corners in football. I forget the order, but he said I believe he said him first, then Sauce 2nd, and then Stingley 3rd. But right now, based on the season that he just had, I think Stingley is better than Sauce. You know who I'm surprised, by the way? Didn't make the rookie list. Where was Brian Thomas Jr.?
He was there, but he was after Neighbors. I think he was in the 70s.
He was unbelievable this year. He had the 3rd most receiving yards in football this past season. And also, right, at times Trevor Lawrence was at his best, and then Trevor Lawrence missed some games too. So I'm a little bit surprised that Brian Thomas Jr. wasn't higher up on that list. But to answer your question, I'd rather right now have Stingley over Sauce.
So I'm going to end with a couple quarterback questions here. Baker Mayfield was the 7th quarterback on this list. Where would you rank him among the top 15, top 10 in the NFL?
He's in the top 10.
Okay.
So number 1, Mahomes still. 2, Josh Allen. 3, Lamar Jackson. 4, Joe Burrow. 5, Jalen Hurts. 6 Jaden Daniels, 7 Matthew Stafford, and then I could go as early as 8 for Baker Mayfield. I could put Baker Mayfield as early as 8. You know what? I put CJ Stroud 8, Baker Mayfield 9. So either 8th or 9th, I'd put Baker Mayfield.
Interestingly, Jalen Hurts was behind Baker. He was 8th as a quarterback, 91st overall on this list. Still not getting a lot of respect.
So that's the problem with PFF. Statistically, I could see why they do that. You know, Baker Mayfield had more turnovers, but he also had 41 passing touchdowns. Statistically, I could see why he gets dinged a little bit because there was up and down moments for Jalen Hurts, but the facts are when he got into the postseason, and we've seen now 2 times on the big stage, he outplayed the best quarterback in football. He outplayed the best quarterback in football in Patrick Mahomes.
I'll do one last one. You mentioned Mahomes. This is the last one. Mahomes was 39th on the list. The guy who we've considered the best quarterback in the NFL for years.
Well, he didn't have a good statistical season.
Sure, but 39th? He was behind Jaden Daniels and Justin Herbert.
Once again, though, this is based off stats.
I get it.
This is based off analytics.
But so here's my question for you.
Yeah.
For the next 5 years, would you take Justin Herbert, Jaden Daniels, over Patrick Mahomes?
Absolutely not. Like, I love Jaden Daniels, and I was maybe his biggest supporter last year, and I think Justin Herbert's really good, but we're talking about Patrick freaking Mahomes. You just heard me in the last question when I said that I'd still take Mahomes as the best quarterback in football, because a bad year for Patrick Mahomes is basically having 1 loss in the regular season, because the one at the end of the year he wasn't playing, and then come playoff time, you get embarrassed in the Super Bowl. And the Chiefs are going to wake up almost every year in the AFC Championship game. So, yeah, I understand that Mahomes' statistics weren't great the last 2 years. But he still, if you ask all 32 GMs in the NFL, who's the number 1 pick of the draft, and we're redrafted everyone tomorrow, you're putting Mahomes in at number 1. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We will do a news brief next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Breaking news on the Zach Gelb Show.
We do? Oh, yeah, that's right. Adam Schefter. The Jaguars are hiring James Gladstone, who? As their new general manager. Stu, if you didn't see the breaking news before we came back from break, and I just, in an impromptu fashion, said, I hear that the Jaguars are hiring James Gladstone. Would you be able to tell me anything about this guy?
No shot.
He's the Rams director of college scouting. See, now this is what I like what we do in our industry. You will have people today that will have takes about James Gladstone. All right? I just went to CBSSports.com, and I wanted to see the general manager tracking. So this is a funny part. You look at the GMs that got hired this cycle. It's only 4. Only 4 GMs that have been hired. Darren Muji. I know he came from the Broncos because, right, he got introduced. Could I have told you anything about Darren Muji until just knowing he became the Jets GM the other day? No, I could not. John, CBS, man. They didn't even spell his name right. It's Spytek, right?
Yeah, it's Spytek.
They spelled it John Spyek. Spyek. I guess the T was silent, or they just elected not to include it. But it says the Raiders found their general managers. They are hiring Buccaneers assistant general manager. Oh, and they spelled it correctly, John Spytek, to replace recently fired Tom Telesco. I knew nothing about John Spyek or Spytek until, right, his name surfaced. And I'm like, oh, the Tampa Bay connection, him and Brady. And he also did work for the Patriots, too. Mike Borgonzi was hired by the Tennessee Titans. I actually know that name before he got hired because he comes from Kansas City and people praise right outside of Veach who else has helped build the Kansas City Chiefs. And Mike Borgonzi's name has been mentioned. And now the Jacksonville Jaguars have hired James Gladstone as their new general manager. And most of us could tell you nothing about James Gladstone getting the GM job for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars, to me, are very interesting heading into this season because you had the disaster with ownership in Trent Baalke, and they ended up getting it right, but the process on how they got it right was so sloppy. You have Trevor Lawrence, who I think could still be good But the last few years, he's been banged up, and he has not been playing at the generational level or the franchise level that was expected out of him with all the hype and all the pomp and circumstances that was around him from Clemson. And you look at the rest of that team, sure, Brian Thomas Jr., tremendous rookie season. And then defensively, Josh Hines-Allen is good. I don't think he's an elite pass rusher, but he's good. And Trayvon Walker is someone that should have never been the number 1 overall pick. And he's had an up and down career so far in the NFL. But after what was a very discouraging rookie season, he's put back-to-back double-digit sack seasons, 10, 10.5. But I would rather have Aiden Hutchinson, if I'm just being honest. And oh yeah, by the way, the Jacksonville Jaguars do have a top 5 pick in the draft as they come in at number 5. And they're in a division where Indy has some talent, but I don't believe in the quarterback. Tennessee is so far away, and we'll see who they take with the number 1 overall pick. And the Houston Texans are the standard right now, and they got 2 good edge rushers, and Will Anderson Jr. is one of the better young edge rushers in the league. And then you also have Danielle Hunter, who's been in this league for so long. But offensively, we'll see what happens with the future of Stephon Diggs. Remember, they restructured his contract, so he'll be a free agent. Nico Collins is an underrated player in this league, and he is really damn good. And then you have Tank Dell coming off another injury, and Joe Mixon is getting up there, right? You know, he had a really good season, but you know how quickly running backs can decline. Laramie Tunsil's still there, who's really good. And C.J. Stroud has come in the first 2 years in the NFL and has been better than advertised. He's been a good quarterback. But now it's like, okay, what direction are the Texans going in? Are they just going to be good and be what we've seen from the Texans, where it's like, all right, Saturday wild card weekend, 4:30, and then some years you'll win that game and then you'll tap out in the divisional round? Or can the Texans become a bona fide Super Bowl contender? That's what we're wondering. But until then, like without that unknown that the Texans are going to take that next step, if you're going to look for a team to usurp them in the division, the team that's best positioned to do so are the Jacksonville Jaguars. And what the Jaguars are going to do with that 5th pick becomes very intriguing because, like, who's running Jacksonville? It's Liam Cohen and Tony Baselli. And now you know that their GM is James Gladstone. You know, who no one, he could come into the studio and sit right down next to me. And I'd be like, who the heck is Santa bring? You bring some pizza? You know, like who are you? But that's just the difference. Like the coaches, it's rare that you get a coach hired in the NFL. And we're like, who the heck is that? You know, even when Dan Campbell got hired, you're at least familiar, right? Dan Campbell played, you at least know who Dan Campbell is. The GMs and the behind-the-scenes guys, that's like, you have no damn clue who the heck they are. You have no clue who these guys are, for the most part. And the only reason why you know really any of them are is either you root for one of those teams or they've been in the running for the last few years. So what the Jaguars are going to do in the draft becomes really, really curious. And I'm really intrigued by it because I like right now, if I had to give you my pre-combine mock draft, right, just top 5, I'd say number 1 overall is Cam Ward. I think Tennessee will take him. 2, it pains me to say because this is the 2nd year in a row I'm going to miss out on the guy that I really want. Last year was Jaden Daniels. They got Drake May. It ended up working out. This year I really want Abdul Carter. With the Browns trade rumors and Myles Garrett and all that and him wanting out, I would think they would then draft Abdul Carter too. The Giants, and I think, take Shador Sanders in at 3. I could see the Patriots passing on Travis Hunter, but I'll say Travis Hunter's 4. And then the Jaguars in at 5. It's like, okay, then who do you take there? Do you go Mason Graham? Do you go Tyler Warren? Do you go Will Johnson? Like, who is it? Do you take an offensive lineman, Campbell or Banks? But you know what? I think the furthest that Hunter could fall still is actually to the Jaguars at 5. I think most of us expect him to go in the top 4. But let's say if Tennessee takes Cam Ward, Abdul Carter goes 2 to the Browns, the Giants take a quarterback at 3, and let's say the Patriots end up taking Will Campbell, then Travis Hunter is right there. But the Jaguars should be able to get either Mason Graham, Travis Hunter, or an offensive lineman. And if you get Mason Graham, hey, we know how important defensive linemen are. You saw Jalen Carter just wreck the entire offensive line for the Chiefs, and everyone did feast off that. Mason Graham has that ability to just take over a game, even if you don't see it on the stat sheet. He may have had the best individual effort we saw from a college football player this year in one game with that performance up against Ohio State. So the Jaguars, we now know their leadership committee moving forward, Shad Khan and Tony Khan, right? Get on the yacht. Liam Cohen really running the show. You got Tony Baselli, too. And then Mr. Gladstone, Dr. Gladstone here. This guy's name, James Gladstone, I think his name was. That's the hire for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, I already forgot it. All righty, we'll take a timeout. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, we'll do a little news brief update time. First, here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
As you mentioned, the Jaguars finally found their new general manager, naming Rams exec James Gladstone. Former Chargers coach Brandon Staley has a new job, joining the Saints as their new defensive coordinator on Kellen Moore's staff. NFL investigators have reportedly spoken to 3 women who accused Ravens kicker Justin Tucker of sexual misconduct, and they are scheduled to meet with 2 others. The Cavaliers came out of the break last night and posted their 45th win and 6th in a row, and they'll host the Knicks tonight, while the Thunder try to keep pace with Cleveland. They're in Utah to open the second half after finishing with the top record in the West a year ago and falling in the postseason. Head coach Mark Daigneault said there's always room for his team to grow.
Continuing to be about improving and making sure that individual players are coming out of this regular season with the best confidence and rhythm they can have. And same with the team, and that takes intentionality and an effort to do that. So that's our focus as we come into these last 28 games.
College action tonight. Michigan hosts Michigan State. The Wolverines hold a half-game lead over the Spartans for the lead in the Big Ten Conference. Michigan has won its last 6. The Spartans are coming off a win over Purdue earlier in the week. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
I'm having a big internal debate right now. Stu, I'm going to have you decide what I'm eating for dinner tonight.
Ooh.
I'm thinking about making some rice with some green beans and some onions and some chicken sausage. Or do rice, green beans, onions with shrimp. Or go get some burgers after the show and put some French fries in the air fryer.
I think the last option sounds the best.
Good. That's what I wanted you to say. So
the non-fun, healthy ones are good for other days, not a Friday.
It's not like it's like disgusting. I'm having like a burger, a little ketchup. Maybe I'll get a bun. Go crazy on a Friday night, and then end up putting some French fries in the air fryer. I love the air fryer.
The best.
I think it could be one of the great inventions of all time. The air fryer. Like if I'm doing, this is a summer topic, Mount Rushmore of inventions. Welcome in. It's the Zach Gelb Show. 855-212-4227. We'll give you huge opinions. Make sure you tweet me at Zach Gelb. Top 4 appliances of all time. I would think that the air fryer has to be on there. The air fryer is great. And you know what's weird? I think there's a debate, and we could try this. Because Samter, right? Well, up there in age compared to Stu and I. Like, you're the older guard here on the show.
You combine your ages, you don't equal my age.
You're not that old.
I'm old.
I'm 30. Stu's
you're not
what?
that old.
Stu's 33?
I'm 33.
33? Yeah, you ain't 60.
I'm 66. I got you doubled.
You may look like you're 66, but we know you're not 66. What are you, 49, right? 50's coming up for you.
I turned 45 in 3
that's
weeks.
right. That's right. You have a big birthday. What are you doing for the 45th, by the way? Anything big, or are you waiting until 50?
Yeah, something amazing. Going to sit on the couch and eat Chinese food and watch a movie and do absolutely nothing. It's going to be glorious.
Sounds enjoying. That's how you know you're old, though.
That's exactly what my birthday is supposed to be.
So, anyway, what was that going to you now? I sidetracked myself here.
About how old I am.
The air fryer. So my parents are like anti-air fryer. They still, and I go, you know, like the 15 minutes that you wait to preheat the oven. Like there's some things that don't fit in the air fryer. But like if you're just making like French fries or even like the burger, like you could air fry a burger now.
I've never done that.
Oh, it's good. It's good. Now, like, yeah, I'd prefer to go to a grill, but living in the city, you don't have a grill.
So you're air frying a burger like from a from a undone patty, or you're reheating a already made burger?
No, like you have to make the patty.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Delicious.
Really?
Yeah, like sensational. If you don't have a grill, it's phenomenal. But even heating up pizza, put in the air fryer. Whatever. I use the air fryer for everything. I made chocolate chip cookies a week ago. That's the first time in a while I could remember using my oven. Even if you're making, if you like a frozen pizza, you could put in the oven. I wouldn't put it in the air fryer because it's just so big, right? When you do a frozen, like one of those big circular frozen pizza pies. Or you get Detroit frozen pizza from Costco, which is delicious. But anyway, my parents don't understand the air fryer compared to the oven. I'm like, it takes you so much longer to cook something in the oven because of the preheat and all that. So if you could use the air fryer compared to the oven, I am team air fryer. So since you are the elder statesman here on the show, Samter, are you anti-air fryer or are you pro-air fryer?
I've got one of those microwave toaster oven air fryer combo kind of things. It's like maybe not microwave, but it's like a 9-in-1.
And that's not like a traditional air fryer.
Yeah, so we'll do some stuff. I'm not anti-air fryer, but I haven't adapted enough to it. But now hearing that you can make freaking burgers from scratch in an air fryer, I might have to become that guy because I have a grill. It's too damn cold to go outside and do it.
Oh, so you're not Mr. Shorts, T-shirt in the winter, going outside and doing the grill?
I mean, in the snow and 20 degrees, no thank you.
All righty. The MLS game preview is sponsored by Lowe's. Members get more with My Lowe's rewards. Don't wait. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help you save. And now I'm going to do a soccer preview. Who wrote this, just wondering? Between you two soccer nuts.
That'd be me.
Okay. Lionel Messi and Inter Miami begin their season tomorrow as they host NYCFC. That's the New York City Football Club.
That's right.
Inter Miami finished last season with 74 points in the regular season, the most in the MLS. And Messi was tied for second for the most goals scored with 21. Didn't Messi mess up his ankle or something? What was that? What tournament was that going on?
So that was the Copa America. That was the North and South American national teams playing.
In the summer?
In the summer.
I had a fat ankle when that happened.
Yeah, it was bad.
They won, though, that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, yeah, I know a little soccer. I could dabble in soccer a little bit.
Yeah.
Samter introduced me to somebody at the Super Bowl. He's like a big wig with the World Cup. And I was like I was like a fish out of water, if I'm just being. I was trying to keep up with this conversation, and I'm just like, yeah, I love soccer. Yeah, USA. I had no clue what was going on.
The World Cup is here in a year and a half, so we might as well, get a little accustomed to it.
You know what? USA hockey, I'm all in. Soccer, we'll see if I have that country pride. We'll see. I think I should. But right now, I'm all in on hockey. Eventually, maybe we'll get there with the footy football, right? Is what they call it.
I mean, they actually use their feet in the game, unlike our football.
Alrighty.
Come on.
Let's get to Austin Matthews. This was the play-by-play on his missed chance in overtime. He had 3 of them, so let's get to one of them, NHL Network Radio.
Matthews almost stripped Marner, but Gensel gets it anyway. Back to the point to Sanderson. Keeps it in. Jake Sanderson pumps it behind the net. Comes to Larkin. To Gensel. Oh, my God. Matthews had the tournament on his stick. Oh. Austin Matthews almost won it.
You know what? I forgot to even throw to the news brief. Hit the news brief intro. My bad, Stu.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
So, if you heard Austin Matthews miss once, you could hear him miss again. Second cut of Austin Matthews getting denied again. NHL Network Radio.
And it comes to McKinnon. His pass is too far for Reinhart, and back come the U.S. Matthews denied again. Loose in front. I can't believe Jordan Binnington. Austin Matthews had another chance, and Binnington made another save.
And it was 2010 all over again. This time it wasn't Sidney Crosby, but this time it was Connor McDavid. Blah.
But he won 12 out of 14 in their opener, and he won that one and got a shot up. Centering pass, McDavid scores!
Boom!
McDavid wins it for Canada! And Jordan Binnington has done it again inside the TD Garden.
I'll tell you, Sean McDonough did a really good job last night. I think Wischusen should be doing those games. Nothing will beat Mike Doc Emmerich. I actually texted Doc the other day. Said, I'm thinking about you. Miss you for moments like this. We had a nice little conversation. Love me some Mike Doc Emmerich. But I thought McDonough did a good job for the moment last night. And I saw the ratings, by the way. 9.3 million people watched last night for hockey. Oh, my goodness gracious. That's unbelievable. Now, I know a lot of you will then go away because you don't love hockey like I do, and we'll see you back for the Stanley Cup Final and then also for the Olympics next year. But please stay because it's a sport that should be appreciated more. Here is Connor McDavid on his game-winning goal in the Four Nations face-off final.
Just couldn't believe it, really. Just excited for our group. Honestly, everybody was so dug in. Starts months and months and months ago with management going out and picking the team, and the coaching staff coming together, and then obviously the players doing what we do.
And let's get to Brady Tkachuk on the loss to Canada.
This sucks. I thought this team deserved more. And we had chances there to finish it off. This has been my favorite hockey memories, just playing for this team.
Yeah, I love the passion for the players, and this is why hockey players are the best. Because, right, this is like an exhibition, right? They just made it up. I didn't think I was going to be this enamored with it as I was, but it helps on Saturday night where the U.S. beats Canada, and it's like, yeah, okay, the booing during our national anthem, then the brawls, right? It was unbelievable. It's basically like the Hanson brothers on the ice, if we're being serious. And then the next thing you know, right, these two teams meet up again a few days later on Thursday. You had an epic game, a great game. It was awesome for the sport. Credit the NHL. As the NBA embarrassed themselves during All-Star Weekend, the NHL shined. And I get it, the NBA is more popular than the NHL. But it just shows you, when you have pride for your country, you come together, you compete, you just play because you love the game, and you come together as a team. It made for a pretty epic Four Nations, and it exceeded all expectations that I had. Alrighty, I did a terrible job managing the time there. That's on me. Unlike some athletes, when they mess up, they won't admit it. So I will tell you, I did a terrible job there. I usually do great managing the show, squeeze it and everything. Did a terrible job there.
Well, we didn't have a lot of other cuts to get to.
Yeah, we only had about 20 more on the list. So here's what we'll do, because we only did hockey there. We did that hockey. Coming up later, we'll play you some of the things we didn't get to, because there's a lot of football on Travis Kelce's future. Jason Kelce at a casino. I know a little bit about that. Greg Cosell talking about who's the second best quarterback in this draft. Jeremy Fowler revealing the plans for the Vikings. Rodgers giving his thoughts on his next team. James Cook popping off. Tony Baselli talking. So we will do a football-only kind of sound segment later on in the final hour of the show, which will get underway in about 5 minutes because we got to take a break right now. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, Stu's got some questions for me. 6 of them to be exact. We do the segment every Monday and Friday. It's called Onside Offside. We will get to a little Onside Offside when we return in 5 minutes.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, hour number 3 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Coming up in the final hour on a Friday, we'll do a little onside offside in just a second. We will get into how many no doubt franchise quarterbacks are there in the NFL, and then we'll wrap the show up at 5:40 p.m. Eastern time with a ton, and I mean a ton of NFL sound. Did a lot of hockey in the first 2 hours. We'll get to some more hockey right here, at least for a question, when we do a little onside offside. Stu, hit it.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
All righty, Stupak, what do we got cooking?
All right, so last night, as we've been talking about, Canada beat the United States in an epic Four Nations final thanks to their superstar Connor McDavid's brilliant overtime winner past Connor Hellebuck. Now, both games between the two nations in this tournament were contentious, with many fights and tough hits, and of course, fans booing the opposing national anthems. Onsides, Offsides, the Four Nations tournament will inspire more American kids to play hockey.
9.3 million viewers for Canada-USA final game on ESPN last night. Higher than any NHL game ever. That's from John Buccigross. The Four Nations tournament will inspire more American kids to play hockey. It was great. It was wonderful. It exceeded all my expectations. I love hockey. I love hockey players. But I've seen this story before. When there is patriotism, when it comes to USA Hockey, and right, just even in my lifetime, whether it was 2002 and they lost to Mike Richter, they lost to the Canadians in the gold medal game 2010. Parisi ties it up. You go to overtime. Crosby rips your heart out. Even shortly after that, with TJ Oshie and all the crazy shootout goals that he did score, there's attention to it. There's a heightened awareness to it. I know this wasn't in the Olympics, but this definitely delivered. You look at the mega ratings, and I think it also helped that the NBA was embarrassing themselves during All-Star Weekend, and the USA defeated Canada before losing to Canada a few days later in the championship round. But with all that being said, I know how this works. Hockey's still a small fish in a large pond. And the NBA will still be more popular. Major League Baseball will still be more popular, even though I don't know where the heck you're going to watch Major League Baseball if you're following that ESPN stuff. And then football obviously will always be the most popular when you look at the four major U.S. American sports. Now, USA Hockey does a tremendous job in closing the gap, right? Canada used to be all the way up here. USA was right here, like all the way down there. And they've gotten really, 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 really close to where the Canadians are. And even could beat the Canadians, right? We've seen them beat them before. But when it matters the most, you got to win last night. And Austin Matthews, I'm not happy with you. You played like Toronto Maple Leafs, Austin Matthews in a big game, not United States Austin Matthews. So to answer your question, the Four Nations tournament will inspire more American kids to play hockey. I still think it's going to be one of those things where everyone parachutes in. The numbers are unbelievable. The ratings are spectacular. They're big. They're enormous. They're sensational. But you let this simmer down. People will parachute back in for the Stanley Cup playoffs. They'll parachute back in, obviously, for the Olympics next year. Do I think it will have this long, everlasting impact? Unfortunately, I hate to say it. I hope I'm wrong. But unfortunately, I do not. So the Four Nations tournament will inspire more American kids to play hockey. I will go Offsides.
Offside.
All right, at long last, the Yankees are doing away with their antiquated no-beard policy, with owner Hal Steinbrenner explaining the decision today.
If I ever found out that a player we wanted to acquire to make us better, to get us a championship, did not want to be here, and if he had the ability, would not come here because of that policy, as important it is, again, to that generation, that would be very, very concerning.
Al, do you know for a fact if you have lost out on any players because they were unwilling to?
No, but again, it's a concern that was raised by more than one person that I sat down with.
No, hold on. They did a press conference about this?
They did. I had the same reaction when I walked in today, and they were doing a press conference.
I saw a statement.
Yes.
All right, you have to announce it.
Yes.
They did a press conference.
They did.
And you have dopey reporters actually asking questions about the beard policy. Oh, my. Hey, Mr. Steinbrenner, Hal, what's your favorite kind of mustache? You know, what's your favorite, how do you like your facial hair now since the Yankees are going to allow that? What are we doing here? That's ridiculous. All right, answer the question.
So many have pointed to the Yankees' desire to land Blue Jay star Vladimir Guerrero Jr. next winter.
He's going to be a Met, by the way. You know that, right?
Who also has a beard. We'll see. As a major factor in the timing, onsides, offsides, the Yankees will land more top players now that the policy is gone.
Wait, now hold on. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Yeah, I guess he does have a beard.
It's not a crazy beard, but
it's not
he's always
crazy.
had a little something.
First off, the policy was dumb. It was stupid, if we're just being fair. But do I think anyone said, oh, I have to shave my beard, so therefore I'm not going to the Yankees? No, they probably just said, oh, the Yankees want to pay me all this money. I'll shave my beard even if I'm not going to be happy with it. So the Yankees will land more top players now that the policy is gone. I'm going offside. I don't think that's a determining factor.
Offside.
But it's good that they got away with this silly, antiquated rule.
Finally. The Cowboys had a rough year, of course.
You know what's going to happen, Stu?
What's that?
Yankees get out to a slow start.
Oh, it's the beards.
Oh, on the fan. This is what happens. George is turning over in his casket right now. It's because of all these players having facial hair now. That's what's going on. The Yankees have lost their way. They lost their tradition. Oh, when I fill it on the fan and I take those phone calls at about May when the Yankees get off to a slow start, not going to be happy. You'll have some Zach Gelb eruptions. I'll just be freaking out, just going after callers. Because right, some people will think that way.
So the Cowboys, they had a rough year, starting off slow before losing Dak for the season and finishing 7-10 and missing the playoffs for the first time since 2020. Now, after moving on from Mike McCarthy and hiring Brian Schottenheimer, future Hall of Fame guard Zach Martin is reportedly retiring at the age of 34. Onside, offsides, the Cowboys will win more than 7 games that they won in 2024.
I got to think they'll at least be 8-9. I think they can make the playoffs. I don't think it's crazy for them to be 9-8 or 10-7. I really don't. And also, they had a bevy of injuries last year. That team was decimated with injuries. So I don't like the Schottenheimer hire. And yes, Zach Martin is finally retiring. But yeah, I would think the Cowboys, I'm not saying they're going to go 11 or 12 wins, but more than 7, yeah, they should be able to get to 8-9 bare minimum. So I will go on sides on that one.
Devondre Campbell isn't doing himself any favors.
By the way, what a jackass this guy is. Seriously. You quit on your team. I'll let you read the quote. But, these guys have advisors. They have agents. And how stupid can you be to type this? You're talking to yourself as you're typing it. You know what you're writing. And then you go, should I send it? Should I send it? Yeah, I'm going to send it. Idiot. Idiot, idiot, idiot. Devondre Campbell, once again, idiot. Tomorrow, idiot. The day after, idiot. What a dope. You quit on your team. No one's talking about you. No one. And what, some fan tweets at him and brings it up? And he responds with what Stu's about to read to you. Idiot, moron, dope. And I don't want to ruin the question, but I'm going to say it anyway. Never playing again. But ask me the question. Let's go through it all. So I could roast this guy again.
Yeah, so he quit on his team, and the quote today, I ain't addressing bleep. I'm rich and never have to work another day in my life.
Rich and stupid.
And told Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch that when they begged me to come out there. End of quote. Onsides, offsides, no team will sign Campbell once the 49ers do cut him.
You could do a lot of terrible things. You could go to jail, right? You could do stupid things. And as long as you eventually get out of jail, you get a second chance, the NFL is very forgiving, right? We've seen the NFL, unfortunately, forgive people that drink and drive, abuse women, abuse children, right? The NFL is very forgiving. You quit on your teammates, you better be like the Jesus Christ of linebackers in order to get another opportunity. And also, guess what? You're not a spring chicken. You're 31. You turned 32 in the summer, and you've been bouncing around the league the last 2 years, and you've had a nice late redemption story in your career. Now, I liked him in Green Bay. I thought he did a nice job at the end in Atlanta. But you have been on 1, 2, 3, now 4 different teams, and you're towards the back end of your career, and you quit. And then since you're such a dummy, and you can't admit that you're just wrong, you then say, yeah, I told them I got money, I'm good, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you got money, you're also a dope. So to answer your question, if you can't tell, no team will sign Campbell once the 49ers cut him. On sides. If you sign this guy, you're a dope. You cannot sign this guy. And I remember, I think before the world shut down, I interviewed Devondre Campbell at Radio Row. I liked him. I was a fan of his. I don't know what's happened, but he's become a big dummy. That's what he's become. Oh, quit on your team. That's one thing, right? Not good, but that's one thing. You then have months to process it. No one. And I mean, no, this happened right after Army-Navy, or that Thursday night, I think, when we were taking the train together, Stu. No one's talking about you. and you respond to some fan, I guess, asking about this, and you prove that you've learned nothing. Like, if you're trying to get back into the league, you would just be like, hey, wasn't a good moment. We all have our bad days. I look forward to my NFL future. This dummy is like, hey, I'm rich. You know, they were begging me to play. I'm not addressing anything. I did no wrong. I ain't addressing bleep. I'm rich and never have to work another day in my life. Oh, my God.
Had to have been hacked, right?
Oh, who is he? Jay Will now?
Yeah, right.
Stop. You know what? I usually don't wish for people to lose all their money. If we find out in a few years that this guy blew all of his money, I wouldn't mind if this quote resurface. Oh, I just hate people that take zero accountability for their actions. Once again, if you can't tell, I think he's a big dummy. All righty, next one.
So John Morant is all over the news lately. First, it was revealed that he was one of the many professional athletes who were robbed of valuables by a robbery crew. And on top of that, Ja's name has been floated in...
Wait, John Morant was robbed?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I didn't hear that story.
He's had that, and then he's
I feel like all these athletes are getting robbed these days.
It's been a lot lately. I feel
Mahomes and Kelsey, right? Didn't they have their house broken? I read something like that.
Ja had nearly $1 million in jewelry, watches, and bags stolen.
Oh. Okay. So he's had that, and plus he's had trade rumors floated around despite averaging over 20 points and 7 assists per game. Onsides, offsides, Ja Morant can still develop into a top 5 player in the NBA.
Well, he was about that life. Remember, he's driving around, flashing the gun. They claimed it was a toy gun too. Remember that? And then, you get robbed. But this guy's having an unbelievable season. And, right, he plays in Memphis, so it's like, when you get another athlete like this, I look at Ja Morant. I think the world of him. I loved him at Murray State. I've seen some rumors that the Grizzlies could be thinking about trading him. I don't think they should. Can he still develop into a top 5 player in the league? So you got LeBron, who's coming to the end. Steph getting up there in age. KD getting up there in age. So Nikola Jokic going to be a top 5 player for a while. Giannis Antetokounmpo going to be a top 5 player for a while. SGA going to be a top 5 player for a while. There's others obviously too. But yeah, I still think Ja has potential as long as what happened to him, what he brought upon himself, that's in the rearview mirror and you don't go back to that stuff. Yeah, I do think this guy could still be a top 5 player in the league. I like him on sides.
The WNBA is in the middle of the offseason, but that isn't stopping Angel Reese from making more headlines. The Rookie of the Year runner-up tweeted, quote, "I'm going to be a basketball player, model, influencer, businesswoman, podcaster, unapologetic, set records, create history. My goal in life is to become a billionaire," end of quote.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, Kevin Love responded.
Wait, Kevin Love is responding to this?
Kevin Love responded saying, quote, "I'm going to go ahead and take the under," end of quote.
It's a good line.
Onsides, offsides, the Angel Reese hate has gone too far.
No. So, Angel Reese, here's my problem. She says she wants to play the villain role, and then when any criticism is directed her way, it's like, everyone hates me. So, you just got to block that stuff out. And then dress how you want to dress. I'm not telling Angel Reese how to dress. I have no problem with Angel Reese. But then she's like, oh, I get sexualized. And then she wears things that are very revealing. So it's almost as if she wants to live her life her way, but if anyone criticizes it, then it becomes a big problem. Now, I have no problem with what she said, right? Wants to be a basketball player. She's obviously a great one. God bless her. Model, influencer, businesswoman, podcaster, unapologetic, set records, great history. All that stuff's great. You should have the goal of being a billionaire. I have a goal of dating Beyonce, right? I have a goal of, making $10 million a year. Doesn't mean it's realistic. Like LeBron James, right? LeBron James and Tom Brady the last 20 years are probably the two, in American sports, probably 2 athletes that we recognize the most. LeBron's net worth is $1.2 billion. That's LeBron freaking James. What do you think Tom Brady's net worth is? The estimated net worth of Tom Brady. This is going back to February 2025. What do you think his projected net worth is?
I'm going to say it's under $1 billion. I'm going to say
$300 million.
Yeah, I was going to say 800 or 900 million.
Oh, sorry. I cut you off there.
It's okay.
I thought you were just saying under $1 billion. Unlike Devondre Campbell, I'll say I'm wrong on that. That's my bad. So, don't get me wrong. Angel Reese, your goal is to be a billionaire. but you're not going to be. But is that hate? Kevin Love just saying, I'm going to take the under? And I think it's funny. I think it's witty. So the Angel Reese hate has gone too far. I think a lot of the hate is manufactured. I don't know how many people are actually hating Angel Reese. And yes, I know people be like, Zach, look at the tweets that she gets. All right, you can look at the tweets that I get. You can't take all that stuff seriously. So do I think that she's actually like hated as much as people want to think she's hated? No, I do not. So the Angel Reese hate has gone too far. I will go offside.
Offside. All right, and one last one here. Indiana Hoosiers head basketball coach Mike Woodson announced that he was stepping away from the job at the end of the season. Well, now St. John's head coach Rick Pitino, he joined Pardon My Take and threw out an interesting name to replace him.
I'm going to have some people upset at me. If I was the AD at Indiana, I would immediately not even interview anybody else and hire one of the premier coaches in all of college basketball, and that's Chris Beard from Ole Miss. I wouldn't even think about another person. He's perfect for that job. He's a tough, hard-nosed, and I always judge a coach by his practices. And I have to tell you that those are some of the best practices and meetings with his team that I've ever witnessed. So now I am a gigantic fan of Chris Beard, and I think he would kill it at Indiana. He'd have him in the top 5 to 7 every single year. Remember, he brought Texas Tech to the championship game. So he's a superstar, top 3 coach in my estimation.
So Beard, of course, was fired from Texas in 2023 after domestic violence allegations and is now at Ole Miss. Onsides, offsides, Indiana should hire Chris Beard.
You know what? We just saw in this last hire. In this last hiring cycle, I've been advocating for 2 coaches the last few years. Dusty May, which was easy, and then Pat Kelsey. I love Pat Kelsey. And Pat Kelsey in year number 1 has done a phenomenal job. They're going to make the NCAA tournament. And Michigan's going to make the NCAA tournament as well with Dusty May. So you look at Chris Beard. Indiana has been a program that's been down and out, right? You've seen what Louisville's been able to do with Pat Kelsey, what Michigan's been able to do with Dusty May. I see some people say, oh, maybe Dusty May goes to Indiana because he was like a ball boy or a GA for Bobby Knight. I would be a little bit surprised if Dusty May leaves. But you look at the potential candidates. I went to ESPN. These are the guys that they list as the candidates. Brad Stevens. I know he's already said it's not going to happen. I believe that's not going to happen. You have to make that phone call. You have to beg him. You have to say, pretty please, Brad, will you come save Indiana basketball? But I think Brad likes being out of the spotlight, and it's weird to say that he's out of the spotlight because he's the president of basketball operations of the Celtics, but you could hide yourself more in a front office role than if you're a head coach. And then also you'll be the savior there at Indiana, viewed as a savior, you better deliver quickly. So I don't think it's going to be Brad. Next on their list is Scott Drew. Now, if they can get Scott Drew, go ahead. But Scott Drew was just asked by Kentucky and Louisville, and he didn't want to go there. So until Scott Drew leaves Baylor, I don't believe he's leaving Baylor. Bruce Pearl is another option. If I'm Bruce Pearl right now, why are you leaving Auburn where you've built them and they're humming and they're the number 1 team in the nation? They go win a national championship this year to go to Indiana, who has lost their identity when it's come to basketball. So I'm going to say no on those candidates. So here are the realistic candidates of the top targets say no on ESPN. Buzz Williams of A&M. Grant McCaslin at Texas Tech. Greg McDermott of Creighton. I like the McDermott one, but is he going to leave Creighton? And you look at the name that you threw out there in Chris Beard. You know, Chris Beard had the off-the-court incident, obviously. We don't need to rehash that. But now he's back at Ole Miss. Chris Beard, no offense to Ole Miss, needs to have a bigger job than Ole Miss in the basketball landscape. Like, if he was coaching SEC football, different thing. Because what he did at Texas Tech was unbelievable. Then was at Texas. We know what happened, right off the court at Texas. So, should they hire Chris Beard and you get the Pitino endorsement? And you know what? Rick Pitino could say anything. He could be like, oh, Devondre Campbell's the hardest working player in the NFL. And just listening to Rick Pitino, I'd be like, yes, whatever you say, sir. I love Rick Pitino's voice. So if Rick Pitino's advocating for Chris Beard, I feel like Chris Beard could use a bigger job and Indiana could use a savior. And Chris Beard, everywhere he goes, he does a solid job. So I'm going to go onsides there. I would be interested in hiring Chris Beard. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. How many no-doubt franchise quarterbacks are there in the NFL? We'll give you that answer next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
So I don't know if this is true, but I Googled it during the break. So, like, you could Google my net worth, and there's websites that says my net worth is $4 million. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not.
Congrats.
All right? It's higher. No. So, Stu, because we were saying that Angel Reese wants to be a billionaire. I have to imagine she's worth more than this. But if you had to take a guess, what do you think the net worth is of Angel Reese off just a simple Google search? This is what it says.
Okay, with all the endorsements she gets, I'll just say $1 million.
I would think it'd be much higher than that. It says though $2 million on the internet. Now, that may not be true. I'm going to assume it's higher than that. Now, what do you think Caitlin Clark's net worth is? According to just a quick Google search.
Let's say $4 million.
It's right around $4 million. I gotta think both are making more money. I know the WNBA salary pays you.
They're really low,
like peanuts.
Yeah.
But in terms of the NIL money that they made, and also all the endorsements, I would think that they have a higher net worth than that. But that's just what's out there on Google. Once again, it may not be true. There's websites that say my net worth is $4 million a year. So, all righty. Anyway, let me play you Tony Baselli. This is Tony Baselli. He was on Sirius XM. Do we have this audio? I think we do, right? Yeah, Tony Baselli. He was on Sirius XM radio. He has high praise for Trevor Lawrence.
You got to get the head coach right. You got to get the quarterback right. We believe that we have a franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. I'll pound the table for that one. This is going to be his third head coach.
Yeah, and all the different play callers and all that.
And all the different systems and everything else. So that you can't do that. You got to help a quarterback have consistency and build with him and build it around him.
So off of that comment by Tony Baselli on Trevor Lawrence, take Patrick Mahomes out of it, take Josh Allen out of it, take Joe Burrow out of it, take Lamar Jackson out of it. You take those four quarterbacks, right? Those are the four best quarterbacks in football. Everybody and their mother knows that they're franchise quarterbacks. So, Stu, give me a quarterback. I'll tell you if I look at them as a no doubt about it franchise quarterback.
All right, Tua Tagovailoa.
No. Injuries, one concussion away from his career being over. And I think Tua could have been a no doubt about it franchise quarterback the way we viewed him in college. Too many injuries, though, since then, even with the hip and the ankle. And now when he gets into the league, right, it's concussion after concussion. We've never seen Tua win a playoff game. I think he's a good quarterback. He did show his value this year when he did go down. The Dolphins went from, ended up being a terrible football team without him. But do I look at him as a great franchise quarterback? No, I do not. He is not a no doubt about a franchise quarterback.
CJ Stroud.
I think you got to say yes. And I wondered how great he could be coming out of college. And I know that this year wasn't his best year, but the last 2 years, he's changed the entire direction of the Houston Texans organization and their franchise. So, yeah, I think for the foreseeable future, he's a top 7-8 quarterback in the NFL. So, yeah, I would say no doubt about it.
All right. Do you agree with Baselli and Trevor Lawrence?
I do not. I still think he could go on to have a really good career, but I got to see it. We've been told that this guy has been tabbed as a generational talent. He hasn't been miserable in the NFL, but he has not been great. So I can't say that he's definitely a no doubt about a franchise quarterback.
What about Justin Herbert?
Gives me Phillip Rivers vibes. And I think Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer, right? And you could be a franchise quarterback. Like Phillip Rivers was a franchise quarterback. But our definition of a franchise quarterback is, right, Hall of Famer, which Phillip Rivers can be and Justin Herbert can be. But then also, you win a Super Bowl. And I haven't seen Justin Herbert win a playoff game yet. So I think he's very, very good. And his stats are really good. And right, Stu, you would love to have Justin Herbert quarterback the Raiders. Even though I'm being honest, I think Drake May's going to be really damn good. If you told me right now I could get Justin Herbert over Drake May, I would take it. I would. But no doubt about a franchise quarterback where this guy's going to be a Hall of Famer and a Super Bowl champion. That's like kind of the way that we view it. I can't go there yet with Herbert.
What about Dak Prescott?
No. Dak's very, very good. Very good. His stats will be unbelievable at the end of his career. That guy, though, I don't even know if he's ever going to forget a Super Bowl. I don't know if he's ever going to play an NFC Championship game. Good quarterback, but not a franchise.
Someone who almost made it to the Super Bowl in his rookie year, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, after 1 year, absolutely. And I loved what he did at LSU with no defense for those 2 years that he was there, won a Heisman Trophy. And then this year, the Commanders were down and out. And then they were in the NFC title game, and now they're becoming a destination. Absolutely with Jaden Daniels.
And coming off of a Super Bowl champion, what about Jalen Hurts?
Yes. Is it possible that a guy could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP, and he could still not get the respect that he deserves? He's the 5th best quarterback in football now. He's outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice in a Super Bowl. And here's what I love about Jalen Hurts. There's no ego. Like, Jalen Hurts doesn't care if Saquon Barkley's the face, or if he's the face, or if A.J. Brown's the face, or if Devontae Smith's the face, or if the offensive line's the face. He doesn't care how they win, just as long as they win. Absolutely. Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback.
Staying in the NFC, what about Jared Goff?
I'm going to say very good. I'm not saying he's a no-doubt franchise quarterback. Could in 2 years, people saying, the Lions have to go bring in a different quarterback? Yes. This year was made for him to get to a Super Bowl. And he was terrible up against the Commanders. He had a great regular season, but the postseason let you down. So I can't say he's a no-doubt franchise quarterback.
Is Jordan Love a no-doubt franchise quarterback?
Ooh. So he's in Green Bay, where they just pump out Super Bowl champion and Hall of Fame quarterbacks. I got to see more from Jordan Love. Because in Jordan Love's first 2 years as a starter, his first year, the first half of the first year, up and down. Then the second year, I think we talked about this numerous times, it was like 20 touchdowns to 1 interception and won a playoff game, right? And then in the divisional round, after winning that playoff game, threw across his body interception against the Niners, but he's a gunslinger. Then this year, I think they need to go get him a number 1 wide receiver. They tried the wide receiver by committee, and it just didn't pop off. He was fine this year, but we thought he was going to take that next step forward, and he didn't. So I think he's lurking, but I'm not going to say right now he's a no doubt about a franchise quarterback.
After 1 year, what about Caleb Williams?
I can't say that. I think Caleb Williams can be really damn good, but he's also working with having the uphill battle of playing in Chicago, where quarterbacks just go to die pretty much. Now, you get Ben Johnson, so you better be better this season. But can I say he's a no doubt about a franchise quarterback? I cannot.
What about Baker Mayfield?
You know what? This could be controversial. I'm saying yes. He's got moxie, man. That guy just threw for 41 touchdowns this year. That dude is a leader. I thought the Bucs were going to crumble without Tom Brady. They made the playoffs twice. They made the first 2 years without Tom Brady. Playoffs. Yeah. Baker Mayfield to me, who was like on the outs of the NFL, is now a franchise quarterback. And the guy wins everywhere he goes. So,
what about someone who is likely to get paid like a franchise quarterback this offseason in Brock Purdy?
I'm going to say no. Now, do I think Brock's going to get paid $55+ million a year? Yeah, I do. Just because you get paid like a great quarterback doesn't mean you're a great quarterback. This year, the injuries did him in. I thought he did a very good job, even in a loss up against Kansas City, especially in that first half. I thought he played well. But I hate to do this if you take away, if you put it this way, I think this is a fair thing. If you put Jalen Hurts on the Niners, does Jalen Hurts win that Super Bowl last year up against Kansas City? I think so. If you put Brock Purdy on the Eagles, do the Eagles win the Super Bowl this year? That I don't know. Because I think, a lot of times people just go, Brock Purdy has too much talent. And that's what benefits him. And the same thing about Jalen Hurts. But if you swap them, which team do you think is better? And I could argue the Eagles have the better roster, but Jalen Hurts with the Niners I think is different if you put Brock Purdy on the Eagles. So I'm going to say no on Brock Purdy.
What about Kyler Murray?
No. Now, there was a thought, for a while he was good. And then he got hurt. And right before he got hurt, it was, okay, could you go from good to great? Now the question is, can he be good again? So franchise quarterback, no.
All right, last one. Any hope for Bryce Young being a franchise quarterback?
I think there's a lot of hope. His career after year one was in a miserable spot. And then this year, backed into the quarter bench, came back out, came swinging. But to say no doubt about a franchise quarterback, I can't go there yet. But he is actually, I think you could make the argument, he's the most intriguing player going into the NFL next year. Now, I don't know if it'll be that much national pop and sizzle with him that a lot of people will say that. But Bryce Young went from this guy to the dud, then career over, going to have to go somewhere else, to then, he impressed a lot of people. Like that touchdown pass he threw late in the season when he did basically a Steph Curry celebration and turned around and started celebrating before the ball was even caught. That was nasty. All right, what does John Gruden say? It got me feeling nicey. That got me feeling nicey. I'm intrigued, right? You're sucked back in on Bryce Young, but saying he's great, I'm not there yet. But I'm very intrigued to see what he's going to be able to do this upcoming season for the Carolina Panthers. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, you'll hear from Diana Rossini, Jason Kelsey, Greg Cosell, Jeremy Fowler, Aaron Rodgers, and James Cook on an abundance of NFL topics. We'll go rapid fire before we get on out of here. But first up with the latest update, you look like you could coach St. John's today.
No,
you really do.
Am I in shape? Is that what you're telling me now?
I'm saying you're in shape.
Got
you're
the
wearing
red.
More so that you're wearing the red. What is that?
Could be Canada red. New Balance,
is that like
actually.
a sweatsuit?
No, it's a 3/4.
No, a 3/4 zip. That's right. You really look like you could coach Johnny's.
Thank you.
Like if you were sitting behind the bench this weekend, I would think you're like a video coordinator and assistant coach.
There you go.
You got St. John's and UConn on Sunday.
Yeah. Lot of good games on this weekend for the New York area. Knicks Celtics, Knicks Cavaliers tonight. Rangers back-to-back. St. John's UConn. It's a good weekend if you're a New Yorker.
I'm trying to make my way to Madison Square Garden.
There you go.
On Sunday.
Very nicely
Trying
done.
to get hooked up with a few free tickets.
NYU playing its home finale. Number
really?
2 team in the nation. Number 1 women.
Give me the whole NYU thing.
The NYU women are number 1 in the nation. I think they've won 52 in a row, and the men are number 2.
Wow.
Yeah, we're a juggernaut these days.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did you? Oh yeah, that's right. You went to NYU.
Yeah.
You and Kenny Albert.
Yeah. The gym's only about a half mile from where we're sitting.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun? I could be when it comes to geography and knowing your surroundings, I could be a dope. When we were in New Orleans, the Riverwalk was adjacent to us, and I had no clue. No damn clue until Saturday. I was there for 9 days.
But you knew where to find Angela's when you were in Philly.
Yes. You've been to Angela's?
No, I want to go.
Oh, yeah. You got to go to Angela's, Mama's, D'Alessandro's. We should go on a cheesesteak tour. We should just take Ack. We'll drive Ack around. He'll be like the Pope of Philly, and he'll just get cheesesteaks. People will be feeding him cheesesteaks. Forget about the wafers.
All that weight I just lost coming right back just thinking about it.
By the way, last night when you texted me, and I'm watching the game, I had no clue what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So with the McKinnon goal, I still don't know what you're talking
about.
about.
I said yesterday that McKinnon and McDavis are the 2 best players on the ice.
Ah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning McKinnon. I'm like, what did he mention McKinnon about? And then you just text me, paid to know me. And I'm like, that's a very ominous, paid to know me. I'm like, what are you, like, you leaving or something? Like, what's going on?
Nope, it was just because Nathan McKinnon, had made a great play, and obviously Connor McDavid, somebody left him all alone.
Yeah,
and that was it. And it's funny because I mentioned that I thought that McKinnon and McDavid were the 2 best players, and then you got Crosby, who's 3rd. Think about that.
Crosby, yuck,
great player, all-time great.
There's no doubt about that. And Austin Matthews was the Maple Leafs version of Austin Matthews in the playoffs last night.
Well, I will say this about Sidney Crosby. For all that he gets grief from fans about the way he plays on the ice,
a
great guy apparently. Great.
You know
guy.
what? I've interviewed Crosby once, and I've interviewed big stars before, and some of them can be douchey. I thought he was very respectful.
Oh my!
The one time I got to interview him.
Absolutely.
Like I was actually impressed by him, and he's someone. It's like I like to hate him. Like ultimately,
there are guys like that.
I really have no beef with him, but it's like, the Penguins, the Rangers have beat the Penguins enough in the postseason. He wins, so it's just easy to hate the guy that wins.
Yeah, it's like Draymond Green.
That does a little crying. Does a little crying there, Sidney Crosby. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
And I love when Tortorella said those 2 whining stars all those years ago. But yeah, you do have to respect Crosby. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
All righty, update time. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Eagles pass rusher Nolan Smith was able to fight through enormous pain to help them to a second championship. He had surgery for a torn tricep and played the second half of the big game with the injury. Kellen Moore is filling out his staff in New Orleans, reportedly naming former Chargers coach Brandon Staley the team's new defensive coordinator. The Jacksonville Jaguars front office makeover is now complete. James Gladstone was named the team's new GM. He had been in the Rams front office. NFL investigators have reportedly spoken to 3 women who accused Ravens kicker Justin Tucker of sexual misconduct. They are scheduled to meet 2 others. The Cavaliers started the season with 15 straight wins and opened the second half with their 6th in a row and league-leading 45th. They're back home tonight to host the Knicks. Despite their big season, they did struggle from the field last night. Head coach Kenny Atkinson said it only proves they can always do better.
We're not easing into this thing. We're not resting on our laurels. We're not like, man, we've had a great start. We're kicking everybody's head. It's not that. It's more. We have to do more.
And a great interstate battle tonight in the Big Ten in Ann Arbor, where 12th-ranked Michigan hosts number 14 Michigan State, holding just a half-game lead over the Spartans. I'm Rich Jackson.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is, play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh, my God, we're back again.
So there is a Twitter account. It's called Psych Mampter. And they're actually very witty who's ever behind Psych Mampter. Now, there's only 5 followers to Psych Mampter. Here are the 5 followers. 2 porn bots, Abe Drinkin, Andrew Kaplan, who works here, and then I don't know how to say this guy's name. Chris Parasinen, I believe is his last name, who works here behind the scenes. Those are the 5 followers. And I guess Chris breaks NFL news. He sent me a question about a minute that I did. And he's like, you think Abdul Carter, he's got a little Warren Sapp in him. He's like, you think Abdul Carter's the best player in the draft? I go, yeah. He goes, oh, I did you minute. What am I missing on Abdul Carter? And I explained it to him, and he goes, oh, by the way, I did this article, and he had breaking news about something. I think it's what one team, or what the Browns, or what the Rams said to a team in the top 10 of the draft, what they want for Matthew Stafford. It was a first-round pick and then some. So I had a little encounter with Chris Parasine. Nice guy, though. But, yeah, of course, he's one of the 5 people following this Psych Mampter. Well, anyway, the reason I'm bringing up because Psych Mampter is participating in our Ask the Pros question of the day, and that's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Hey, Zach, if you, Mike, and Stu played hockey, what kind of game would you have? Hashtag Ask the Pros. I imagine Gelb being a power forward, Stu a sniper, and Samter a Sean Avery pest.
I can see the pest part.
I can't really see Samter, though, being the guy in front of the net. I could with the stick, wagging it and all that. You could submit a question by tweeting at INFSports at Zach Gelb using the hashtag AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low price and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I think Stu could be a power play force. I could see myself being an enforcer that just takes up a lot of space in front of the net. And Samter, you could be like Matt Zuccarello. Heart and soul guy, quick, a lot of speed, and is the heart and soul of the team.
Theo Fleury. Small, quick, agile. That's me.
All righty. I gotta just move this because I have to find a way to get in these audio cuts because I did a terrible job mismanaging the time earlier. Let's get to Jason Kelsey on the New Heights podcast. I played blackjack with him. He had some bad luck at the casino in New Orleans. I didn't realize this when I was playing with him because I thought he won a lot of money that night. But go ahead.
I went to a New Heights party. I went to a Stapleton concert. And then outside of that, I just lost all my money at the casino. Because I won so much money last year at Las Vegas.
Got a universe.
I thought, hey, we'll just keep this rolling. This will be great. Yep, didn't work this time. This guy Tang flipped 21. I'm like, damn Tang.
No.
How many times? Should I just bend over and pull my pants down? Is that where we're at right now? I did get mad at Tang because he let somebody hit on a 14 when he was showing a 5. And I was like, Tang, that's a piece of move, dog. That's dealer etiquette.
What if the guy was just feeling it?
I think that, in all honesty, the person that hit was a little drunk and he was continually having to correct her. And I think he just got tired of doing it. I saw that happen and I was like, the moment that happened, I was like, this whole I'm losing all of my money right now.
So here's the thing, Jason Kelsey, when he was in the private room with myself, Patrick Peterson, Bryant McFadden, and then also Kylie Kelsey and Bo Allen, that was a better crowd where you don't have to worry about everyone doing stupid things. Like, yeah, I had a few drinks when I was there, but he won. And I guess as the week did go on, he lost. Welcome to playing blackjack and roulette and all this stuff. You win one trip, you're definitely destined to lose the next trip. Here is Diana Rossini on the Rich Eisen Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network on Travis Kelce's Future.
I can tell you from just having a few conversations with people around the league over the last few days, there's definitely a sense that Travis is going to try to play more. I haven't heard anyone say, yeah, he's really struggling with what he wants to do. It's definitely leaning more towards that. That can, of course, change. This is going to be his decision only. I think they feel pretty good that Travis has got a little bit more left in him.
Yeah, I think he's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out right now. Can he definitely go play another season? Yeah, he's fallen off a little bit, but he's still almost 1,000-yard, receiving tight end. Here's Greg Cosell on the Ross Tucker podcast. Surprising take on who's the second best QB in the draft.
To me, the next best tape, okay, of a college quarterback that I saw was Tyler Shuck from Louisville. And I was fascinated by this kid. And I don't know where he's going to get drafted. It would not surprise me at all, Ross, if you start hearing his name, hear people start saying, well, he's going to start moving up. He's 6'5", he's 224. This kid, I loved his tape. He looks the part of an NFL quarterback. He's got clean mechanics. He stayed on the midline. These are the little details that I look for. So many college quarterbacks, they drift. They create their own pressure. They don't do the little details of the position. I mean, this kid played 7 years of college football. I think he's a higher level prospect.
Perry Ellis.
I really do.
So who was his first? Samter, who was it?
Cam Ward.
Cam Ward was one, then Shaw two, and then where's Shedeur Sanders? I think Ward and Shedeur Sanders are the best quarterbacks of this draft. Let's go to James Cook, Nightcap Podcast with Shannon Sharp and Shadow Cinco. He's made it clear he wants to get paid.
I just feel like we just do so much, just by going to practice and doing all the little right. And I just feel like we deserving of it. Why not? We work all our life to get paid. Feel me? The big bucks. Why not, bro? I want to go chase the highest of the highest. And I'm gonna keep doing it. And I'm gonna stand on what I stand on. And I don't want to feel like a cancer at all, because I don't like all that attention and all that. That's not me, honestly. I'm just standing on business, man. And what I deserve. That's it. What I deserve.
3 years in the league, I believe. Just had a really good year. Wants to get paid. I get it, especially with the life of running backs of the NFL. Finally, TMZ Sports. Aaron Rodgers, your thoughts for your next team.
What is something you take into consideration? What factors?
What factors?
Yeah.
If they want you.
If they want you, what else? Anything else?
They got a good team.
Lovely.
Riveting stuff right there. Rodgers get this jabroni from TMZ away from me.
He's desperate.
All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Center. We'll be back on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. Stu, Samter, Ack, thank you very much. Big thanks to each and every one of you for tuning on in, whether it's YouTube, Sirius XM, one of our affiliates on the Infinity Sports Network. We will talk on Monday, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend. Peace.